kick. I don't know why. Why isn't X showing up? No, I don't want that. I don't even know what that is. Don't tell me I'm going to have more problems with X again. This happened to me the other day. Listen, while I'm working on this, let's get you information here. This is the midweek Blitzkrieg. We're talking about the Carmelo Anthony murder case. He has been found guilty of murder, and we're waiting on the time frame right now. It can go anywhere from 5 to 99 years. We're waiting on that. So jury finds Carmelo Anthony guilty of murder. Prosecution and defense waive opening statements. The prosecution rests. Defense calls Carmelo's mom. Punishment phase ends after one witness. His bail has been revoked. He has been arrested now. He will not be walking out of that courthouse, and the jury will be deciding the time frame.
Person for the Anthony family in this regard. They've been unable to speak, but he has been out here, so you can imagine he is reflecting their thoughts on this. But yeah, clearly he has been upset. This isn't what he wanted to see happen. He talked about the jury charge. Those were the directions given to the jury prior to their deliberation, the elements that they needed to consider when looking at whether Carmelo Anthony was guilty of murder, whether he was guilty of manslaughter, or whether he was not guilty of those charges. And I think you mentioned before, some in the legal community felt like the murder charge was an overcharge.
All right, I'm gonna have to do something with this later on. I'm gonna have to upload this.
That went too far, and that's something that we have heard reflected in the opinion of the protesters out here. You know, some of them felt like the prosecution went too far with that charge, but that's where the jury landed.
Yeah, and the other thing that stood out to me from the remarks made by Dominique Alexander of Next Generation Action Network, he pledged that they will go ahead and fund the first $10,000 towards any fees, legal fees for the appeal that understandably will now and really expectedly, I mean, will take place now at this point.
So yeah, of course, the shitbags are going to try and
JD's going to make it out to your where you are, Andrea. So I know we've been chatting, and I know it's pretty hot out there, but we appreciate you chatting with us. And we'll all have a conversation here as soon as JD can get out from behind the courtroom.
And we do have some sound. We just listened to Dominique Alexander, who, as Andre was mentioning, has been an advocate and basically a sort of a spokesperson for the Anthony family. We also have talked to some of the supporters there for the Metcalf family, and I understand we've got some sound from them, so let's go ahead and cue that up.
I don't want to see the young man go away for his whole life. I think he's young enough that he can hopefully grow, learn something, come out and be a productive part of society. I don't even think he went there to do what happened, but that's what happened. And we don't need to be setting a precedent where if you come up and shove me, I can just pull a knife and stab you in the heart. Proportional force, right? If I come up and shove you, you shove me back, we get in a fight, but not pull a knife and stab somebody in the heart.
Fucking retard.
For Christ's sake, man.
I don't want to see the boy go to jail for the rest of his life, but also I'm very angry by people stabbing other people in the heart. What? Pick a lane, you fucking retard. He took somebody's life. You should lose yours too in return.
And that was a supporter of
the Metcalf family.
Austin Metcalf.
Yeah, Austin Metcalf was the white boy that was stabbed to death. That guy he just sounds like an uninformed fucking retard. I wouldn't want that idiot as a supporter
of the prosecution. Interesting, though, he did say, he didn't know that if he went there to commit the murder. He said, but that's what happened.
Exactly. Right.
So again, what you're hearing, though, is people in the legal community and now people who've been following the case, just folks who are out there hinting at this idea that maybe even they were surprised that the charge was murder. That the guilty verdict was for. And I've been hearing for the murder charge.
I've seen a lot of people comment saying that this. They were surprised that they didn't plead out. Anthony family didn't accept maybe a lesser plea from the beginning, that this had to go to trial on a murder charge.
Absolutely. We heard from Metcalf, a supporter. Let's go ahead and listen to a Carmelo Anthony.
And the reason that they didn't do that, my guess is because they felt righteous. You know, they have felt the whole time, one, you've got a black family, so, you know, naturally everyone is going to side against the dead white kid and the white family, and they were going to side with him, and they were going to get away with this. This is why they instead of taking a plea, they pushed, they got a jury. Now they got fucked when it came with the jury. Well, not fucked, but it got swapped up on them, because I guess they ended up eliminating all of the black people that could have been potential jurors, because all of the black people that were being chosen, I guess, were just coming right out and saying, we're going to vote in Carmelo Anthony's favor. So they didn't care about hearing the facts. They didn't care that Carmelo was guilty. So there were minorities in the jury pool, as I understand it, but no black people. And I think they were counting on that black decision making at court time, at judgment time, in order to be in their favor and get their shitbag son out. And it ended up not working the way they wanted.
A supporter now who also spoke to her crew there on the scene. Have a listen.
Nobody wins. You know, it's a loss on both sides, you know, for, you know, the Austin family and, for the Carmelo family, man. I don't want to be in this situation, you know.
No, we don't know.
And that was actually, as a mother, was my take on this, is that nobody wins in this case. My heart breaks for the mother of Austin Metcalf, and it breaks for the mother of Carmelo Anthony, because again, this one decision, this one act, in a moment of whatever, adrenaline, whatever it was, it ended a young man's life, and it ended Carmelo Anthony's life, his future that he could have had, because now no matter what happens,
formidable years, right?
Yeah, this is going to change his life forever.
Yeah, whether an appeal goes through or not,
he changed Austin Metcalf's life forever.
Is going to be a big stain on his trajectory as an adult.
And he went there with thoughts of violence in his mind. That's why you had the knife. That's why he went into an area he wasn't supposed to be at. His team wasn't there. He wasn't participating in what was going on in the field that day. He showed up with the intention of starting trouble, with the intention of it turning into something more. He may not have thought that I'm going there to kill someone, but he went there with bad intentions.
Okay, great. Give us a sense of what it was like in there.
Well, I just got out of the courtroom. The jury only deliberated for 2.5 hours in this case, and we went back inside.
This was obvious he was guilty.
So quickly, there was obviously a lot of tension inside that courtroom because of the hostility we've seen building over the last year on both sides. I remember when I saw Carmelo Anthony enter the courtroom, his lead defense attorney, Mike Howard, had his arm around him. His forehead was on Carmelo's forehead. They were in quiet conversation. It looked like that Howard was trying to console or to prepare Carmelo for what's to come, like he knew it would not be a good outcome with the jury coming back so quickly. The courtroom filled up. The judge announced that the jury had a verdict. The jury came in. Nobody on the jury that I could see looked at the defendant when they walked in. They sat down. The judge was handed the verdict. He read, of course, guilty of first-degree murder. At that point, we looked around the room for reaction. I didn't see any reaction from the jurors. Carmelo Anthony, who I was looking at, he stood with his head partially down, his eyes closed very tightly. You could see the wrinkles in the side of his forehead. He was obviously in some kind of agony internally hearing this news. His mother, who was on the front row behind him, leaned against the railing and put her head down. We didn't hear any emotion from Carmelo Anthony, but within just a few seconds after the verdict was read, you could hear him sobbing out loud in a very quiet courtroom. It was an interesting experience to be in there. The Metcalf family, which was told by the prosecutors not to show any emotion, did just that. They were pretty stoic when this verdict came down. At that point, the judge very matter-of-factly said to the defendant, Carmelo Anthony, that your bond, you've been the whole time, more than a year, has been extinguished, and you are now remanded to the custody of the Collin County Sheriff's Office. And you could feel, obviously, the anxiety on his side and among his family when that was relayed to him. They took him out, took him into a side room. At that point, the judge said that he was going to talk to the prosecution and defense about the upcoming sentencing phase, or the punishment phase of the trial, which in Collin County begins right after the guilt or innocence phase. And they brought Carmelo Anthony back in after a few minutes, and then we started this punishment phase, which we normally expect them to last about a day and a half, 2 days at most.
Yeah.
This moved lightning fast. The started is supposed to include opening statements, witnesses, closing arguments. A judge charged the jury. It's like a separate trial. But in this case, the prosecution waived its opening statement. The defense waived its opening statement. Prosecution rested immediately. The defense called one witness, Kayla Hayes. That's Carmelo Anthony's mother. She took the stand. She was asked by the defense, first of all, if she loved her son. She tearfully broke down and said, "He's my oldest. Of course I love my son. I will always love my son. And he's my baby." And then the defense said, pass the witness. And the prosecution then said, "Ma'am, just have one question for you." And that question was, you could still be with your son, right, in incarceration, making the inference that she still has a son to at least talk to and visit, if not, more, because the Metcalfs have no one. Austin Metcalf isn't coming back. And so,
that's right. Sorry about that.
She said, "Yes, I do," and reaffirmed that. The prosecution rested after, or passed the witness. She was excused, and then the prosecution said, "We rest," and the defense rested, and the judge said he was going to go back and work on the charge to the jury, and once he comes back, which should be around now or soon, once they read that charge, then I'm understanding there's going to be closing arguments on both sides, but I really don't know at this point. There really has been nothing done to try to mitigate Carmelo Anthony's, punishment in this case. He's facing 5 to 99 years in prison. He has no criminal record. I haven't heard anything about a sudden passion defense that can be raised after a murder conviction that can help minimize the amount of time that a person stays incarcerated. I don't know if at this point if that's going to be part of the sentencing. We'll find out here in a minute from the judge and the prosecutor and defense attorneys, but we fully expect this case to go to the jury here in just a few short matter of minutes or hours, and the jury will deliberate as long as they want to into the afternoon and evening. If they don't reach a decision on sentencing, they will be sequestered, and then they will come back tomorrow morning and then come back with a sentence again of either 5 to 99 years in prison in the case of Carmelo Anthony, which has generated so much hostility, tension, conflict, not just here in North Texas, but all across the country, as we've seen.
JD, you made an observation and you presented a point that I think so many of us who have been following this case have also observed ourselves, and that is the lightning speed in which all of this has moved. I mean, from the beginning, right? They worked through the weekend, closing arguments. This went to the deliberations. Within 3 hours, we had a verdict. Then it was read, and here we are.
Okay, so I went backwards a little bit in order to catch everybody up a little bit. I'm going to try and get
all of this. We are in the sentencing phase of it all.
Right, and right now we understand that they have been told that they can sentence him anywhere between 5 and 99 years in prison, and this has all moved so quickly.
I'm sure as the jury walks in, they're going to be seated. The judge is going to say something along the lines of, how do you find on count 1, murder in the first degree, and then you're not going to hear J.D. Miles, who's sitting in the courtroom, is going to hear what that verdict is. They're likely going to ask about the count of murder. They're likely going to ask about manslaughter. Of course, if it's guilty on verdict, it would be not guilty. Manslaughter wouldn't come into play. If it's not guilty on murder, then it would come down to manslaughter. If it's not guilty on both, again, that's an acquittal, and that's the end of the story.
Yeah, and we're going to hear that here in a second. We also know that the judge had given orders that if this verdict were to come in before 4 o'clock, this would move immediately into the sentencing phase. How how do you anticipate that will play out? Once we know the verdict, I guess, will there be another break, another recess, and then come back for that? Or does that usually happen immediately? And again, just leaning into your experience.
Yeah, I would say generally there's a break. This judge happens to be one that keeps things moving quite quickly, so I'm afraid to really even try to predict what he's going to do. But we were warned that we would essentially go right into sentencing. It will be the same jury that determines guilt or innocence that would determine the sentence. That is something that Carmelo Anthony requested. He had the option of having the judge determine a sentence or the jury. He opted for the jury. So at this point, both sides will once again have the option to present witnesses. Again, if this is a conviction, if Carmelo Anthony is found guilty, the defense would be able to present evidence of sort of mitigating circumstances, why the jury should give him 5 years as opposed to 99 years. And so we could hear some testimony or not. In some cases, the sentencing phase really is just another round of arguments, another round of essentially closing arguments from both sides.
We have seen that too.
It could go either way. Those are the options. Yeah.
Well, we're going to be keeping a close eye on that. As you mentioned, we've got J.D. Miles inside. Andrea, you can't see this, but we're on a split screen right now. We have live aerial video coming in from outside the courthouse, where it seems that security looks to be beefing up. It looks like we've got more law enforcement boots on the ground, sort of standing shoulder by shoulder, some more police cruisers. From what you can see, do you also get that same sense from what we're seeing from the aerial video coming in? Do you sort of see an increased law enforcement presence there too?
Yes.
We got a verdict.
Yeah, you're seeing law enforcement. Again, we've had.
So we got a verdict.
Let's stand by. Getting word that we may have a verdict. So if you see it come through, Andrea. For folks who are joining us on the CBS News Texas stream and over the air, we are coming to you with breaking news in the Carmelo Anthony trial. We understand that a verdict has already been announced. We're just getting word to see what exactly that verdict is.
That was quick as well,
so please bear with us. We've got Andrea Lucia outside the courtroom, J.D. Miles inside, and we're watching everything from back here in the studios as well. At any moment now, we're expecting to hear what the verdict is. Okay, what is it? Andrea, go for it.
Guilty on murder.
Guilty on murder. Okay.
Guilty on murder.
You know, I don't anticipate that they're going to change their tone in the
we already knew that. So
they'll send a note out.
I'm going to catch us up. This is live right now.
Or the court, and let
we
them
already
know
knew
that
about
they have some
guilty
questions.
I don't know why they were.
According to J.D. Miles, the punishment phase has just ended. After one witness. After one witness.
So there we go.
And the defense basically, for all intents and purposes, asked Kayla Hayes, Carmelo's mother, does your son regret what he did? She says, yes, he's very sorry for what he did. So the judge right now is going to be working on the charge, what the instructions are going to be for the jury. You know, again, as we mentioned, they're going to be told that he can, it's either going to be between 5 to 99 years.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I've seen cases move quickly. This one is at the top of the list, though. I don't think I've seen, I mean, this is changing by the minute.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about this right now. I feel like in the middle of this thought, as we analyze what's going on, we might get another update. Yeah. Again, we've got J.D. Miles inside. He's sending us some live updates, you know, via text messages and some emails that were corresponding. But again, the punishment phase, it just ended. It felt like it just started 2 minutes ago. It has now just ended. The defense only called up one witness, and that was Carmelo Anthony's mother.
So let's go back out to our Andrea Lucia, who is there on the outside of the courthouse, again, where you can see all of these people gathered, all of these people who have a vested interest in the outcome of this trial.
So we're still waiting on the time frame.
You're kind of at a distance from all of these people.
It can be anywhere from 5 to 99
much,
years.
Or has it gotten even more congested? Oh.
Oh, we're having some audio issue.
Out.
There you are. We can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, we can hear you. Go
okay, sorry. We switched to a stick mic here. No, I want to bring in Kelsey Mittauer. She is our producer, and she was actually up front. While I was here keeping you updated, she was up there with the crowd. You were talking to some of the people up there and getting the reaction.
Yes, a lot of emotion, a lot of anger. Once it was announced, people were going around yelling what the verdict was. People were very upset. There were people that fell on the ground, and then there were, it seems, supporters of different sides that were really screaming at each other. A woman and her children got caught up in it where they were trying to get away. It's a little bit of a mob mentality right now where everybody's just, you can tell emotions are running high. People are just really upset or celebrating, and those things are mixing down there.
Yeah, a lot of people had their phones out too. Did you get the sense everybody was live streaming or capturing this for social media?
Yes. I don't know if anybody was actually watching it in making eye contact, but watching it through their phones. And then it's very much, it is a mob mentality because you see one or two people move and then everyone moves that way, and it feels almost like you don't know what's going to happen if there's going to be violence, because like I said, the emotions are running so high that people were screaming and yelling at each other and getting in people's faces. The police have had to break it up a little bit. Dominique Alexander just spoke down there and was talking about how disappointed he was in the justice system, that he said the Next Generation Action Network has donated the first $10,000 toward an appeal. He did say that obviously the sentencing is going on right now. They're deliberating the sentence, but yeah,
we've
just
got
in general,
135 people live with us on X. Thank you,
I saw
everyone,
some people
for tuning
showing
in.
up with chairs. Did you get the sense that people are hanging around? They're sitting around for sentencing?
So both sides are arguing with each other now. The Carmelo Anthony supporters, a lot of radical blacks are all there. The Metcalf supporters are on the other side. It hasn't turned into a larger thing yet. He has been found guilty, for anyone that's just joining us now. Now they're deliberating on the time frame that it's going to be. As I understand it, the death penalty is not on the table. I think because of his age at the time that this happened, he was 17. So it's going to be between 5 and 99 years. That is what the jury is working on right now.
But I couldn't tell if he was
we're
with them
live
or not.
here.
But yeah, there have been several people out
while
here.
they're
Like I said, I
making
saw
these
strollers.
final
There are
decisions.
a lot of kids down there, kind of in the middle of everything.
Yeah. You said that you didn't know if it was going to become physical. You didn't know if it was going to get violent. Did you actually see? I guess beyond the pushing, was that the extent of any kind of violence that you saw?
So
yes,
it hasn't blown up yet.
Physical. It's just a lot
the
of
police
screaming.
are there
We
and are tending
approached
to
a
keep
woman that was
everybody separated if it
visibly
turns into a
upset and
larger
asked
thing.
her if she wanted to interview, and she turned on us, and I was honestly worried that was going to get physical. Like I said, people are so upset that I've just kind of let them be because nobody really wants to talk during that. But yeah, I didn't see any actual violence, just people getting, very close to one another.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. I wanted to bring her.
Yeah.
Has been the one up there.
Ask her, because we are seeing.
Did you have questions?
Just from our aerial view, we're seeing a lot of sheriff's deputies out there. They're noticeable in their cowboy hats. Are they doing a good job of keeping the crowds apart? These two sides, or are they just there in case things go south quickly?
Do you feel, sorry, she can't hear you, so I'm going to repeat the question. Do you feel like the law enforcement up there is doing a good job keeping the two sides apart, or do you feel like they're just there as a precaution?
I get the sense that they're doing everything they can to not escalate the situation. They've been very direct with people, get out of the street or I will arrest you. And they're kind of giving some people chances over and over again, because I get the sense that they don't, any kind of escalation like that is going to lead to more emotion. And so there have been a lot of them out there. When we saw the state troopers arrive, we kind of got the sense, there's a lot of Collin County Sheriff's deputies down there, but it's mostly just standing and directing people in, at one point it was like, if you're media over here, if you're everyone else, you're over here, and just trying to keep everyone settled and separated.
I know sometimes the introduction of law enforcement becomes in itself an escalation. If they were to step in and throw handcuffs on someone, it would likely trigger the crowd. And so, is that the sense that law enforcement is also using restraint in how they respond?
That's definitely what I saw.
As I understand it, they have as much time as they need,
and
so
just really
they
trying
could
to direct
decide the
people
amount of
and keep
years
them, away
in
from
the
each
next
other.
5
The
minutes,
ones where there was
or
a
they
lot
keep
of screaming,
going
they would
until
step
10
in and
o'clock
kind of try to
tonight.
break it up.
So we'll keep rolling with this,
in a
waiting for
general sense, I
information
haven't
here,
seen
and we'll
anybody
see.
bring out
They're
handcuffs or
outside the
anything like that.
courthouse We know
Thank
he's
you.
guilty.
Karen?
His
I
bail,
bring up, where
his
you're
bond
kind
has
of
been
reaction right now, not
revoked.
just from where you are.
So,
there on
he's
the
been
ground
living
in Israel,
free
but,
for a year.
now getting, text
while
messages and just
the
messages from other
Metcalf
people in
family
the
has
legal
been living
community
without their son.
throughout North
So now
Texas
his
who've
bond
also
has
been
been
following
revoked.
this.
He
And
will
I
not be
want to
walking
put
out
this
of
out there
that
because some of
building.
the things
He
that
has
people
been
are
arrested
referring
and
to, they're
being
saying that he
now
was
we're gonna find out
overcharged, that
the time frame.
maybe manslaughter would have been more of an appropriate charge. Obviously, you're not in a position to say one way or another because, we're just reporting on it. But I want people to know that these are some of the things that the legal community is now saying, and that perhaps it sets up a pretty significant appeal for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. And the word gerrymandering is being is used a lot. I don't know if you've heard it throughout the coverage of this, Andrea, because we know that from the very beginning there was an issue with the fact that there were no black people seated on this jury. We know that race played a key role.
We should say that there are a lot of people of color on this jury panel, none of them African American.
African American, exactly. But that word seems to be, I heard it a lot in the early stages of this trial, and it seems to be coming up
how I
again.
understood it was all of the black
that was
people
certainly
that were
the opinion
chosen.
of the defense they put out there. They actually wanted another lesser charge. Homicide, but they were denied that by the judge. So it did seem like the defense was really hoping to convince the jury to, if they were going to find him guilty, to aim for a lesser charge. And they were perhaps hoping that maybe the jury would opt for one of those lesser charges. I will say.
So my understanding with it that no black people ended up being on the jury was during jury selection. Everybody that was being chosen as potential jurors were all pretty much very clearly saying that they were going to be biased and they were going to make a decision in the favor of Carmelo Anthony. So they all had to be dismissed. So then it turned out that there were no black jurors. That's my understanding of it at the time. If I'm wrong about it, when I get more information, I'll correct it. But that's the reason there were no black people on the jury.
Mm-hmm. I think he was equally surprised at the fact that this came back as murder, because he was thinking
they were all going to come back and vote in some way, shape, or form
the speed at which the
a minimum sentence
he was thinking
in favor of Carmelo
he
Anthony
right
somehow.
Here, if I had to bet, it's guilty on manslaughter. That was not the case. It was guilty on murder.
Right. And the fact that it only took.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a jury that's split, sometimes they can meet in the middle. They can agree to meet in the middle, and so if there had been a lot of division, but the fact that they did come back so quickly and they came back with murder seems to indicate that they felt the evidence was strong for that.
Too.
But
and they didn't
jurors
there
don't always agree with the overall legal community.
We've got J.D. Miles. He has been able to make it outside of the courtroom. He is wired up now. He's got his microphone. Presumably, J.D., you can hear me. You got Ken and Karen back here in the studio. Can you hear us okay, J.D.?
Yes, I've got you, Ken and Karen.
Okay, great. Give us a sense of what it was like in there.
So
I just got out of the courtroom. The jury only deliberated for 2.5 hours in this case.
Okay, they're repeating this.
We went
bear
back
with
inside.
me. I want to find another
so
live
quickly.
feed of what's going on.
There was obviously a lot of
We've already
tension
seen this,
inside
and then
that
I'm noticing
courtroom
it's
because
just
of the hostility we've seen building over the last year on both sides.
I was thinking about it.
Remember when?
So basically, it goes like this.
Camelot is live.
It's like when you yell at your girl because she's saying she didn't mean to cheat on you, and you're like, "What, did you trip and fall on his penis?"
I want to find something else. I don't want to
be
be taking somebody else's.
They unironically claimed that Austin Metcalf fell on dude's knob. When that is your defense, you're done.
So they're going to talk specifically to Mr. Anthony, tell him how this has affected them, and say their piece to him.
I think he'll get.
And so you could see Hunter do that at that point in time, or other family members have that opportunity.
Chris, we're going to toss it back to you.
Okay, and I just want to follow up on that just a little bit. So this is the point in the punishment phase where we're saying Austin Metcalf's family can address Carmelo Anthony directly, correct?
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. They will once the jury has rendered their verdict.
No name. Feel free to correct me in the chat.
Take the stand effectively, and they will get to say whatever it is they want to say. And this a lot of times, those
okay, so just, I don't know if it's problematic to be using somebody else's stream. I don't, I don't want to do that necessarily. So
you really feel the
pain. I like Camelot, but I don't want to.
Right,
I just don't
and that's why you
an
typically see it after everything's done.
So
because they are
this
so
is live
emotional.
now. This is outside. They're chatting.
By law, they don't want jurors considering all of that stuff because some of it might be admissible, some might
while
not
we're doing that
in trial. But
I want to show you guys.
It's so emotional that they want everything.
The Carmelo Anthony
before
family
the jurors hear that because
raised over $600,000 in donations
charged
since his arrest in April of 2025
for
allegedly. Well, we know he's guilty now, so it's not alleged
He could definitely be prejudicial.
But I looked this up earlier. Stabbing a high school football player during a track meet in Frisco, Texas. The funds came primarily through the Carmelo Anthony Help Fund on the Give, Send, Go platform, which initially set $525,000 goal, but later increased to $600,000. I believe there was another increase after that, and the family was looking for $1.3 billion.
In this case,
the family has stated the money is intended for legal
after
defense, security,
the entire punishment and guilt innocence phase and all of the phases of this trial are over. So they've not been able to say anything or talk to the media
ended up getting all this. So they and their son are rewarded for murdering a kid,
right after,
murdering a white boy.
But they've not at
over
this point had a chance to really address
leave the ghetto that they're in, go to a gated community and get themselves a nice life. I mean, can you imagine being the Metcalf family? Your son is
I just
murdered.
want to give you guys some insight on what's happening
and the
in the
son
courtroom
that is
right
responsible
now.
for
General
all of
Pettiker just let us know
it's like the
that
blacks
both
of the Beverly
families,
Hillbillies, they're
Metcalf's
moving on up and they
and
go
Carmelo
to
Anthony's
a
family
nicer place.
have both returned to the
family.
courtroom.
However,
he
reports
says
and
that
support of
Austin
backlash
Metcalf's
suggest that some of the
family
funds were
is
used for
slightly more
luxury
talkative
purchases,
now at
such as
this
cars and
part,
high-end shopping,
this phase of the proceeding,
from donors.
whereas Carmelo
the
Anthony's
people that were the head of the Black Lives Matter organization, they
the
did
public
the
is
exact
also
same thing. So they
been
grifted, talked about how Black Lives Matter and did their
Jobin
thing.
says
What they did was they turned around and they bought
young
themselves
faces there in the crowd. We assume these could be
predominantly
classmates,
white
friends, fellow students.
So much for everybody that thought
who either went to school or friends or knew Carmelo Anthony or Austin Metcalf. I just want to get back out to
I just wanted to show you guys that
our
as well.
team out there on the scene there. For one last question,
to be given that much money for a reward for killing somebody,
just again go over with our viewers.
It's mind-boggling
exactly what the jury, is able to consider.
Give, Send, Go should never have allowed that to happen.
Let's ask you that.
Yeah.
Walk our viewers through what is the jury asked to consider in the punishment phase?
So they're going to be asked to consider everything that got presented to them in guilt, innocence, in punishment. Nothing outside of that, okay? And so they're going to be asked to consider that. And obviously the attorneys are going to make arguments that they can consider what those closing arguments are in punishment. But at the end of the day, again, in the charge, it's going to say, hey, it's murder. The punishment range is 5 to 99 years or life. If you find that sudden passion existed in this situation, you now can consider a punishment range of 2 to 20, and they're going to be instructed of that. So then we'll just have to see, one, if they believe the sudden passion or if they find that sudden passion existed, and then what their punishment number is going to be.
And if you were the defense attorney, what are you going to tell this jury? And if you're the prosecution, same question, what are you going to hone in on in these closing arguments?
Well, I think for Bill as a prosecutor, and I think he's done a really good job in guilt innocence, he's always kept it to about this happened, intentional. Was this intentional? Was it intentional? Was this self-defense? Was this to people that he knew would say, no, it's not self-defense. So I think that he just continues to hammer, this is an intentional act. You've already found him guilty of murder, and he just makes his argument based off of that. Again, I think for the state, you kind of walk a tightrope because you don't know if this jury's sympathetic.
Even if his intention wasn't to kill somebody, when he decided to go there, put himself in that situation,
I think sometimes
he was still looking for violence. He was still looking for a negative situation.
He might argue, hey,
that's why he was armed with a knife. That's where he went in with the other players in an area he wasn't even supposed to be at. He wasn't a player himself. He was from another school.
For you to believe that, so I think that you should be in this 5 to 99 range. As a defense, again, you're going to hammer the facts of this case. He didn't intend, or he didn't show up that morning with a knife saying he was going to kill someone. The circumstances around that tent, the fact that there were multiple people and he's sitting down the whole time. Yes, y'all have found him guilty, but we're going to ask you to consider sudden passion. We're going to, and they'll probably lay out some of the facts that got presented to.
So this is just to refresh myself as well, so I'm getting it right. On April 2nd of 2025, during a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas, Carmelo Anthony, then 17, allegedly stabbed, it's not alleged anymore, Austin Metcalf once in the chest, resulting in Metcalf's death at the scene in the arms of his twin brother, Hunter. The confrontation occurred under Memorial High School's team tent after Metcalf asked Anthony, a student from Centennial High School, to leave. So he comes from a completely different high school, shows up to a place that his team is not participating in. He is not supposed to be there. You can make an argument that he showed up as a you could show up as a spectator, right? I could go and I could see them practice. Maybe I'm a fan of the team or something. You could make an argument for that, but he went into the players' tent where he is not supposed to be. It's for players only. And then inserts himself into that situation
phase, which is deciding exactly how long he will go to prison for. He has to go to prison, but they are determining for how long he will spend in prison. Again, want to thank you for joining us here on WFAA+. I'm going to be handing things over to my colleague, Jason Wheeler.
So even witnesses reported that Anthony warned Metcalf, saying, "Touch me again and see what happens," before drawing the knife from his backpack. So imagine you walk into a biker bar, so it's all just for them. It's their clubhouse, whatever it is. You walk in there, you know that you're not supposed to be there, or it's certainly not a good idea to do that. Insert yourself into that situation and then tell all the bikers there, touch me and see what happens. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not a biker. I'm not one of you. Why don't you touch me and see what happens? So you've already gone there looking for trouble, knowing that it's going to turn into a situation.
Today, a jury has found Carmelo Anthony guilty of murder in the Frisco track meet stabbing trial.
And it might not have been my intention to kill someone when I go in, when I'm dealing with these bikers, but if I go in with a weapon and this goes sideways, which is almost guaranteed for the way I've handled the situation, it's not a big leap to go from you went there with bad intentions to you went there to hurt someone or kill someone. This just falls into line with the next thing. It goes hand in hand.
Gathering there from both sides of this, crowds of onlookers gathering every day of this trial, people lining up early in the morning trying to get one of the coveted seats inside the courtroom. Here's a ground shot of part of the crowd that we're still seeing this afternoon.
With the jury coming back,
this trial has gone on for a week now. Some of the folks who have been coming are from out of town. Some are high schoolers. All of them, though, proof of the far-reaching interest in this case and the emotional impact that this case has had. In April of 2025, Carmelo Anthony, who was then a student at Frisco Centennial High School, was arrested and charged for the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet at Kirkendall Stadium there in Frisco. Metcalf was a student at Frisco Memorial. Anthony was charged with murder by the Collin County District Attorney. Prosecutors had the burden of showing that he meant to, that he knew he was causing the death of Austin Metcalf following that.
So the judge decided cameras were not allowed in the courthouse. That's why you're getting renderings. You're seeing renderings right now as opposed to video from there.
Stabbing at the track meet after there was a confrontation under the Memorial High School tent where Anthony had been sitting. He was being asked to leave since that was a rival school's tent. He produced a knife out of his bag and stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest. During a 7-day trial, the state said that he knew what he was doing, that he intended to murder Austin Metcalf. The defense, however, arguing that Anthony was just acting in self-defense, that he was protecting himself that day. Anthony was 17 years old at the time, which is considered an adult under Texas law. However, this case does not qualify to be charged as a capital murder because of the circumstances of the case. So the death penalty and life in prison without parole were not possibilities here. Now, we have the verdict in. That is guilty. We just learned that a little while ago from the jury in this case.
Also,
now we are in the
sentence
sentencing phase. It moved on, as I said, immediately.
So he's somewhere in limbo. So I think somebody else was saying that. So you can go from they can go from 5 to 99, but someone was also saying the minimum for life or whatever is 30 years by Texas law here. I'm not 100% on that. It's very odd, but how this is breaking down is like...
We, of course, have been in that courtroom all day, every day that this trial has been happening. We have been live blogging this as updates have been...
You can't give him life, but you can give him 99 years. So he's 18 now? So he'll get out when he's over, when he's 100, 117? Maybe an early parole of 98 years.
Send the jury out, and they will immediately begin deliberating punishment in this case.
I mean, that's
Senior Crime and Justice reporter Rebecca Lopez and investigative reporter Tanya Iser have been live with us all afternoon on WFAA Plus. We also have some expert analysis from a whole team of attorneys that we've had all week, and we continue that today. The coverage has been really solid and very informative, and I would just like to turn it over to you right now, and if you can just sort of give us the lay of the land as you see it from where you are right now.
50 years. With a certain amount of time
Jason,
served and good behavior, maybe they
the day began
out.
with closing arguments, as you said, in the guilt-innocence phase, and then the jury got this case at around 11 o'clock, and then in less than 2 hours, this jury was back, surprising many people. A lot of our legal experts that have been with us that have been inside the courtroom thought that the deliberations would last longer. Bill Wertzke is a very seasoned prosecutor. He prosecuted this case. Many people felt like he just did a really, really good job on the other side. You had the defense, who has been trying to keep Carmelo Anthony out of jails. The jury began deliberating, and they came back with that very quick guilty verdict, and now we are in the punishment phase. We only heard from one witness in the punishment phase. Both sides waived their decision to actually give any kind of opening statements, or and so they basically, the defense started right away with the prosecution calling no witnesses at all. Only Carmelo Anthony's mother took the stand to ask this jury to give her son mercy, that he was remorseful. Our legal analyst Keith Harris has been inside
here, I don't know if they're
the
actually
courtroom
at
today. Give us an idea of the atmosphere of it.
So his name is Mays. He says Carmelo Anthony was on trial for his life and didn't even testify. He never took the stand to claim he was in fear or that it was in self-defense. There's a big reason for that. Easy verdict. Justice has been served. You don't even take the stand and try to bullshit and say that you make up something about you were scared for your life? What?
Very orderly, because Judge Roach runs a tight ship, so people knew exactly what was expected of them. So people were sitting there listening to everything. You could just tell just the tension in there from a standpoint. You have two families that really have a lot on the line and everything, and so you kind of see the Metcalf family on one side, the Anthony family on the other side. Both families very emotional after the verdict was read. Relief, I think, by the Metcalf family. Obviously, disappointment by the Anthony family. But one thing that amazed me is whenever they did have a break after that, there were just some people that got up, one because they were emotional, and the judge had said, hey, if you've got emotions, you can't stay in here. And they got up and respectfully left. But then others that once they heard the verdict, they were done, they got up and they walked out and everything like that. So just a very big day for both families, both supporters on both sides of everything.
And obviously, Jason, there has been a lot of emotion out here. We have been showing video of how the crowd reacted. Tanya, talk a little bit about what we were seeing out here at times when it came to...
Matt Walsh posted up, he said, Carmelo Anthony's parents wanted their son to live in a gated community, and now he will. So it all worked out for them in the end.
This crowd and the reaction, the moment that they started looking at their cell phones and seeing that verdict come across.
Well, you're right, Rebecca. I mean, we had gotten word maybe 30 or 45 seconds before, and you could audibly hear the moment that people behind us were hearing that verdict, because we saw people just go to the ground, tears and upset, and suddenly that crowd was beginning to grow. It was, people were beginning to get upset. It was at one point the crowd moved over behind us, and it was very tense. Now it seems to, at this point, have really settled down. We saw additional Collin County Sheriff's deputies come up, and we talked about this earlier, that
the vulture speaking.
Collin
County Sheriff's Department has, the deputies out here have shown enormous restraint in how they've handled these crowds, and I think that's kept the tensions and things from actually occurring out here.
Absolutely. We actually right now are seeing a DPS trooper, so they have some of their partners that are coming in to help, and they've done a very good job at de-escalating this. Inside the courtroom, this case was never about race. It was about what happened under that tent.
Tell me if I'm right, guys.
Why, killer, what are you waiting for? Get a move on. Get going. Scram.
No, 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 no.
Tell me she doesn't look like that.
And everyone in that courtroom were listening to the evidence, following the law, and it was all very cordial. Jason, that is basically what is happening out here. We're going to toss it back to you.
Yeah, so much still for us to get to in this hour. We're going to fit in a quick break right here. Just to keep you updated, though, we just got a message from inside the courtroom that says closing arguments are underway now in the punishment phase of this trial. Each side gets 20 minutes for that. As we're still awaiting that portion of this trial, you can keep track of what's happening in the courtroom through this live blog that I keep referring to. We have a whole team dedicated to sharing the updates hour by hour, so you're not missing anything. You can find the article at WFAA.com.
Some people online have been talking about this, whereas you had the St. Floyd thing. It was, the officer that killed him. He didn't, but you had Derek Chauvin that had done that. But in the reverse of this, it was a black teen who very clearly went for violence and ended up murdering a white teen at a school. So this is a little more clearer, and maybe we won't see so much of like the George Floyd riots that we had before. And I would certainly hope with Trump's second term that you would take a heavy hand in all of this and make sure that doesn't happen. There's no sound here currently, but they're flying they're in a helicopter. This is an overview of the courthouse currently and the activity there. And I'm just checking out stuff on X2 for any other updates. They don't have any updates right now. The jury has, so for anyone that's just joining, just kind of catching up here, people are kind of filtering in and out. He has Carmelo Anthony has been found guilty. Now the jury is deliberating on the time frame of what he's going to face in prison. It can be anywhere from 5 years to 99 years. He does not face the death penalty in this situation. He also doesn't face life in prison. But the 99 years would essentially be that. With the caveat, my guess is the caveat being that he will be eligible for parole. So if he were given 99 years, he still has the chance with good behavior to get out in, let's say, 20 to 30 years, whatever the time frame where he would be able to make a plea for that. Out with good behavior and all that good stuff. Or bullshit, I should say. Also, his bond has been revoked. He's been out living free. I think he had an ankle bracelet, but he's been out living free with his family and their new $900,000 home that they bought with the donations that they received. And he has been staying there, living the good life.
Welcome back to our breaking news coverage of the Carmelo Anthony trial this afternoon. A jury has found him guilty of murder in the Frisco track meet stabbing trial. And right now, that case has moved straight into the sentencing phase. Both sides get 20 minutes now to present their closing arguments to the jury before the jury decides punishment in this case. And we just got an update from Jobin Puneker, who is actually there in the courtroom. He says that the prosecution has gone first here in these closing arguments and is talking to the jury about the victim in this case, Austin Metcalf. And he says that he will never have time with his parents. He'll never get his diploma or find his love. Jobin reports that the prosecution is showing a picture from April 2nd of 2025 when this stabbing at the track meet occurred. It shows coaches working on Austin Metcalf with chest compressions.
So for anybody that's just come in, this new, because we're live right now on X, YouTube, Rumble, and Kick as well. No cameras were allowed in the courtroom. This is why they have to describe everything, or a court kind of, not stenographer, but drawer is doing pictures and sending that all out from the courtroom. So now they're at the part right now where both sides get to make one final plea. This is only going to affect the time frame that the jury is going to come up with. So the prosecution is going to argue that he should have as much time as possible because the Metcalfs lost their son and will never get him back. And the defense will argue, my guess would be he didn't have a criminal record up to this point and whatever crap they're going to come up with. So, please don't take his entire life away. Give him the minimum or something along those lines. That would be my guess.
And in the back of the picture, you can see people praying. And again, this is a part of the closing argument going into the punishment phase. That jury will be deliberating that here in just a little while. Senior crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez and investigative reporter Tanya Heiser are still at the courthouse there in McKinney, along with Keith Harris, attorney Keith Harris, who is giving us analysis this afternoon. Can we bring this a little bit up to speed here for our audience on air? I know that we've been talking about this on WFAA Plus in our streaming coverage this afternoon. The idea here that in this punishment phase, Anthony could get between 5 and 99 years in prison, but there is this possibility for the defense to seek 2 to 20 years in prison if they can prove sudden passion here. Can you all talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're going to let Keith take that question.
So, again, it goes to the evidence that got presented at trial. The defense is going to make arguments of why they think Carmelo's actions lacks time for cool reflection. That's what they probably really want to hit on in punishment, because they do want to make sure that they give a compelling argument. Since the sudden passion is going to be in the charge, they want to try to show every way from the evidence in the case of how they can tie that in, because they want the jury to find that so that they're limited to the 2 to 20 year punishment range, and that they're not looking at the upper end, the 5 to 99 years.
Okay, so they want to try and put a sudden passion in.
And Jason, one of the things that you said was that Jobin talked about how the jury is right now seeing a picture of the paramedics working on Austin Metcalf. The jury also saw that in a body camera video, and it was probably one of the most impactful parts of this trial, because you can hear Hunter Metcalf, his twin brother, screaming in the background, "My brother, he's my life, he's my," it is very gut-wrenching. And then you hear people praying and saying, "Come on, Austin, come on, Austin." And that had a very big impact on the jury. We saw jurors in that courtroom crying. So when they're showing that, they're also, remember, the jury can go back and look at that video if they want. And that is very impactful and had a big impact on them.
Okay, so as the defense here is trying to make this move to make that range more 2 to 20 years instead of 5 to 99 years, I guess I would ask our attorney here, our expert here, does it bode well at all for Carmelo Anthony that in the punishment phase, the prosecution didn't put up any witnesses? As Rebecca was saying, the only witness in the punishment phase was Carmelo Anthony's mother, and that was for the defense.
Yeah,
does it
Mommy
bode
was
well
the
for
only
him
one.
there that the jury didn't hear anything additional
And of
before
course
they
she said
decide
he's a wonderful,
punishment?
sweetheart boy. Don't do anything to
Well,
him.
it bodes well for the defense to have the argument, hey, if he was
all in a day
a bad guy, you would have heard about it in punishment. The state would have brought that to you with other extraneous offenses. So it bodes well from the standpoint of what the defense is going to get to argue. But at the end of the day, the defense still has the case that they have. The jury has found Carmelo guilty of murder. And so at the end of the day, they're still going to have to assess a punishment because as the state's going to argue, you have a dead kid here and you have someone that's not coming back and you're going to see all of that stuff. So I think that it bodes well to argue you would have heard more stuff if he was that bad of a guy.
Jason.
All right.
Yeah,
thanks
and
for
that's
that
my concern.
to all
so
of you.
It was pretty easy for them to come with, let
stick
it play out here, to let him come back with a guilty verdict that yes, he did in fact kill him, but allegedly he didn't have a criminal record up to this point. He was supposedly relatively a good boy prior to this, though I don't know how you go from being a good model citizen to I'm going to purposefully go to the tent of an opposing school, of an opposing team. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to cause trouble. I'm going to go with a weapon. And then let's see how everything plays out. I don't know how you go from good boy to that. So there's a lot of stuff in the middle that's missing from this. So, I'm thinking, and this has been brought up too, that the family is racist. They hate white people. They've brought him up to also hate white people. Now you have a rivalry between two schools. He goes there to stir shit up and start trouble. And, whatever happens, happens. Again, maybe he didn't go there explicitly thinking, I'm going to get to use this knife today. I'm going to hurt somebody bad. But, you still presented the whole situation. You could have gone there with no weapon at all, defended yourself barehanded, and it would have been a brawl, and nobody would have been killed. On top of that, you would have had a complete reverse situation, because if 3 of those football players ended up piling on him and beating the crap out of him, they would have been able to go back. The family would have been able to press assault charges. Everyone would be alive, but now it would have been, them ganging up on him. You could have had a completely different situation, but he decided to go with a weapon. And who knows if he was thinking, I'm going to call it self-defense. I'm going to bring a knife with me. I'm going to go into the tent where all the other players are, where I'm not supposed to be. So I'm going to put myself in that situation. Things are going to go sideways. They're going to attack me. I'm going to be able to pull the weapon. And I'm going to slash or stab or do whatever it is I have to do.
That big breaking news all afternoon long of a verdict
and then
in the Carmelo Anthony trial, the track meet stabbing
all the
trial,
chips
that jury finding him guilty.
I mean, for all we knew,
this
that was his
afternoon.
plan
We're going to have
from the get-go.
more coverage on that coming up here in just a few minutes. First, though, we're going to break away from that for just a moment and talk about weather. We've got meteorologist Cassie Hyder here with us this afternoon.
Okay. So they're only repeating shit over there. Carmelo Anthony's mom begs for... Jesus Christ, it's fucking ridiculous. Carmelo Anthony's mom begs the jury to have mercy, says her son is sorry. Bullshit. They've been up running their mouths, talking about how he's innocent, talking all this shit. They got the money donated to him. They're living their best life. He's sorry now. He's sorry because he's facing responsibility for his actions. That's what he's sorry about. He's sorry about being found guilty. Oh, boy. Here's Carmelo Anthony soon, walking his way into prison. And you know what? I was talking with Kim Coulter earlier. Let me see. Nick Sorby. Imagine being such a shitbag human being. So this was 1 hour ago. Police rushed to educate Austin Metcalf supporter being surrounded by Carmelo Anthony people outside the Collin County Courthouse. These people are going berserk. This is very dangerous very quickly. Animals. I'm gonna fucking talk about this guy. This is real, by the way. It's not AI. This guy ended up robbing a parts store or something. I called him Timu Aquaman. We're waiting. They're doing weather. We're waiting for more updates. The jury could come out at any time with their final decision. What I'm concerned about is that with the defense trying to argue that in the passion of the moment thing that other lawyer was talking about, I'm concerned that they may make some headway with that. So they found him guilty. Okay. I mean, that should have been a given right from the get-go. It shouldn't have taken half the time that it took them to get there. But now my concern is, well, are they going to say that, while he did go there with intention to cause some issue and some trouble, he never meant to kill anyone. He didn't have any prior record of any kind. Now his life is also over because of his actions, rightly so. But is it, are they going to go, okay, well, we came back with a decision. We're going to give him 30 years out of the potential of giving him 99. I really hope that this is not the case. This entire situation didn't have to happen. He did not. It's not like his team was there too, and that they were practicing together, or they had a game against each other, or what have you. Other people from his high school were also showing up. He went out of his way to go there and have a problem and interact with these people and have it turn bad. I mean, again, even if he didn't bring a knife, it was going to turn into a fight. He was looking for a fight. He ended up getting what he wanted. So I was talking with Kim Coulter earlier, where we had a couple comments back and forth, and she was saying, she wanted the death penalty for him. Neither one of us knew that at that time that the death penalty wasn't even on the table, which I still think is ridiculous in this situation. But I said in this particular circumstance, I'm torn in situations like that, because if the person gets Kim was saying, I don't want him hanging out in prison and at the taxpayer's expense, and still getting the opportunity to live his life when the Metcalf family has lost their son. And I do agree with that. I knew someone that was in prison, and I was communicating with them. I'm not going to get into specifics of the person and who it was, but the things that you get in prison now is ridiculous. So you end up getting a tablet so you can watch TV or movies and different things. If you have money that's put into your canteen, or you work while you're in the prison, and then you make some money internally from working, if there's no one to donate to you or to a family member to put money in, you can turn around and take that money and you can rent music, or get yourself a little playlist, and you can listen to music on headphones. You can rent movies and you can watch the movies. This person was able to video chat me and make phone calls through this for free. I don't think there was any cost for this person to do it. It is ridiculous. It's like prison has turned into just a less desirable vacation. I've heard more people complain about the Margaritaville cruise than I have with this person being in jail and having a bad experience. You are supposed to go to jail and have a bad experience. You are supposed to suffer for your crimes and the things that you've done. Now it's like you're on a low-key little vacation. And with all the money that this family has received, they can turn around and fill out.
Issue a verdict, an amount of time that does not depend on vengeance, that is not based on vengeance, just a fair, just verdict. The defense is now speaking to the jury. It will have 20 minutes to make its final argument to the jury, and then the jury will begin deliberating punishment, which could go between 5 and 99 years in prison, although the defense is also making the case here that this was a murder that was committed out of a burst of passion, and that therefore the jury should be allowed to consider 2 to 20 years punishment as well for Carmelo Anthony.
They're chipping away at all
Carmelo Anthony,
of it now.
after the verdict, by the way, was taken out of the courtroom, shaking his head and crying and looking back toward his parents there
you're not such
in
a
the
big man
courtroom.
now, are you?
As you saw a moment ago, we've been watching the scene overhead from our chopper
You're a big
as
man
well.
when you went there looking
a crowd
for trouble.
has been gathered there this afternoon as that verdict has come down. And we're going to take a quick break right here. Our coverage of this will continue on the other side. Stay with us.
So this is what I'm concerned about now. The defense is going to ask for the in the moment passion of the action and the stabbing, so to allow the jury to also consider 2 to 20 as opposed to being limited to the 5 to 99. And if they get their way, then who knows how much more they're going to be split now. Because the other thing is, we don't know what these jurors are thinking. They came to the decision of guilty relatively quickly. But now it's going to be he's what is he, 18 now? So they're going to go, well, he's 18. Can we give him enough time that when he gets out, he'll be able to live some sort of life? I hate this thinking, but is that what they're thinking right now? In which case, he's going to get maybe 30 to 40 years instead of the 99 he should get. Because, again, he very clearly went there looking for trouble and looking for this to turn into something. He might not have been planning to kill anyone. He was planning for this to turn into trouble and for it to become something. So the defense, what we're waiting on right now is the defense is currently making their plea. The prosecution already has, so I imagine that their argument would be give him the most amount of time possible, that he went there with the intention for trouble, for this to turn into a larger issue. He has taken Metcalf's life. This family is without their son now. They will never see him and be with him again. And the Anthony family should have to face the exact same situation. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it should be an eye for an eye in all of these situations. But how it breaks down and how the considerations go is a different thing. It's stupid, but that's how it's set up. So the prosecution is going to argue for the most amount of time possible. Now the defense is making their final plea. It's already guilty. They can't. There's no coming back from that at this point. Others are saying they're going to get money donated and they're going to appeal.
Here on WFAA News at 4 p.m. and, of course, our entire audience on WFAA Plus this afternoon as well. I'm Jason Wheeler. Let's get right to that breaking news for anyone just now joining us. Today, a jury found Carmelo Anthony guilty of murder in the Frisco track meet stabbing trial. That decision was made just before 2 o'clock this afternoon. The case is right now in the sentencing phase. In fact, I have an update for you on that here in just a second. Let's show you this live live look from our chopper of the crowd outside the courthouse. It is actually hard to see them. People have taken shelter from that blazing June sun under the trees there at the courthouse. Folks had been gathering every day of this trial, which has gone on now for almost a week. Some of them are from out of town. Some of them are high school students. This case has drawn a lot of interest, not just here locally, but it has been making headlines all across the country. It has had a very emotional impact, to say the least. In April of 2025, Anthony, who was a student at Frisco Centennial High School, was arrested and charged for the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf, who was an athlete at Memorial High School. That stabbing taking place on April 2nd at a high school track meet at Kirkendall Stadium. Anthony was charged with murder by the Collin County District Attorney. Prosecutors had the burden of proof to show that he knew that he was causing the death of Austin Metcalf. And during a 7-day trial, the state said that's exactly what happened. The defense, though, countered that Anthony was just acting to protect himself. He was 17 years old at the time. That is considered an adult under Texas law. There has been a lot of question about, why wasn't this a capital murder case? Why wasn't the death penalty a possibility here? This case, because of the circumstances of it, was not eligible to be a death penalty case or a capital murder case. And so in this case, the jury is able to consider 5 to 99 years in prison for that guilty verdict. And the defense, as we have been telling you here this afternoon, is pushing for something in the range of 2 to 20 years because they have made the argument to the jury that this was a crime of passion, that he didn't have a cool head when all of this transpired. I can tell you from Jobin Puneker, who is in the courtroom and has been in the courtroom every day of this trial.
That's what I was saying before. This is their new push in these final moments. The crime of passion, and now they're trying to make it so you can make a choice between 2 to 20, not just the 5 to 99, which is included in that overall anyway, unless they're getting it switched. If they agree to it and change the numbers from 2 to 20, as opposed to, and the 5 to 99 would be out the window. I'm guessing, because I'm obviously not a law professional. I don't know if that's accepted by the judge, that he can change the jury's deliberations to consider 2 to 20 only and not the other amount or not. Or you have both, which are included in the total anyway.
Live updates that we have been including on a blog on our website, WFAA.com. Jobin is there in the courtroom right now. He says that the defense has just wrapped up its presentation to the jury of closing arguments in the sentencing phase. The prosecution went first. They've already wrapped up. So, as we understand it now, the jury has heard everything that they're going to hear from both sides and is about to begin deliberating punishment for Carmelo Anthony. I can tell you that when the defense was up, they told the jury, which will go consider punishment now, they said, I cannot tell you what the right verdict is. Jobin tells us that Carmelo Anthony was crying while listening to the closing statements there. The prosecution here didn't recommend a range. They were pretty nebulous about it. They just said, follow your heart and follow the law. Jobin tells us that the defense spent most of it, each side was allotted 20 minutes. He says the defense spent most of its time talking about the whole crime of passion and basically saying that doesn't mean that, we are blaming the victims here. When he says that, this was self-defense, we're not blaming the victims here. This was a crime of passion. It was sudden passion, which means that a decision is made in the heat of the moment, which is different than a decision you would make when you are cool and collected. Then, both sides, finished up here, but they say that the defense, Jobin tells us the defense closed by saying there are people on both sides whose lives have been irrevocably changed. And I think both sides would agree to that in this case. Jobin had told us earlier that when the verdict came down, there was no emotion being expressed there in the courtroom like you sometimes see, depending on which side, has won in court and which side has lost. He He says that everyone on both sides seemed very somber, and pointed out that one of our legal experts had said earlier this week that no one wins here. This is hard, of course, for both families. Senior crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez and investigative reporter Tanya Iser are still at the courthouse with us this afternoon, along with attorney Keith Harris, who is giving us analysis this afternoon. So it looks like this is headed to the jury now to be able to decide punishment in this case. We don't know how long that will take. I wanted to ask the three of you, though, going into this trial, there's been so much buildup about this. We've had, people who have been agitating from the outside, which is why we have so much, security there at that courthouse, sort of unprecedented because of this case. Were you all surprised by the fact that it went as quickly as it did, and that the jury didn't take that long today, less than 3 hours to come to a decision here? But this trial itself wrapped up quickly, too, it seemed.
I was very surprised, Jason. I'm used to these types of trials at least lasting a complete 2 weeks. We were expecting this trial to go even into Saturday, is what the judge had initially told us. We were all prepared to work until then, but clearly they moved very quickly. The judge did want them to streamline. Obviously, they were going to get all their evidence in, but then I was very surprised at how quickly the jury came back, considering that they were considering not just the charge of murder, but also manslaughter and then the self-defense. And typically you see something like that last a little bit longer. But as soon as they came back, and Tanya, you can talk a little bit about this. We have covered a lot of trials. As soon as they came back so quickly, I told Tanya they have found him guilty of murder. Usually when it comes back that quickly, the jury was pretty convinced, and it didn't take them probably maybe 1 or 2 votes for them to render this verdict.
Oh, we both looked at each other and we said,
yeah, murder.
Because right before the verdict came back, we were talking about, we were waiting for, maybe they'll have questions, maybe they'll ask to look at certain evidence, maybe they'll ask to look at, body cam video or surveillance video or any of that kind of stuff. And then when the word came that there was a verdict, you're like, okay, they're not, because, a lot of times in a case like this, we sometimes see it where they'll kind of know what they want to do, but they'll sleep on it and then come back. That didn't happen here.
And they didn't ask any questions either. Were you surprised by that?
I was surprised at the time period of the verdict. I thought that they might take it a little bit longer, deliberate. You see questions from jurors a lot, and so the fact that they didn't have any questions, to me it just says I think that they were pretty clear in what they were going to decide. I mean, I think 100%. That they didn't have any issues or struggling.
Tells me the potential that
they're through the charge.
They're looking
so
at high numbers.
That's probably why they were able to come back so quickly.
If they're so sure
usually
that it hasn't taken them a lot of time,
good for the defense.
They're not asking questions like,
when they walked in and they weren't looking at the defense as they were going to
way,
their
or was
chairs.
it this way? Did he?
It definitely
when he went in, was he minding his own business, or
and
were
Jason
they screaming at him?
Like, is a very
it seems like they're pretty clear.
Seasoned prosecutor,
and relatively
and all
on
our
the same
legal
page.
Experts said
so it's possible it's going to be high numbers, which I'm hoping for.
So this jury did not have a lot of issues. They immediately rendered this verdict and very quickly.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring him up, because we got an update from Jobin Puniker in this continuing blog that he's been sending us, and he says that the prosecutor here punched holes in the argument that the defense is making, that this was a crime of sudden passion. He says that sudden passion does not fit here. It doesn't apply when the murderer is the provoker, and he's implying that that's what happened in this case. He says that mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. And then he was showing photos of Austin Metcalf, the victim in this case, as well as Hunter Metcalf, his twin brother. He was showing that to the jury, and the prosecution was saying, we've spent too much time talking about Carmelo Anthony, the defendant who's been found guilty here. We haven't spent enough time talking about Austin Metcalf. And then the prosecutor pointed to the Metcalf family and said there were many life sentences handed out, and pointed out different members of the family. So some really impactful statements being made there to the jury in those closing arguments before they go and decide punishment. I'd like to just ask our expert here on the panel this afternoon how important, how crucial, the jury already knows all of the different facts of the case. They've already come to their decision. How crucial are these statements, each side given 20 minutes? How crucial are those in determining where a jury lands as far as punishment goes?
Well, just from what you said with what Jobin had blogged out about Worski's closing arguments, really powerful. Just you saying it, not hearing it from him, it is what the state wants to do. They want to bring it back to Austin. You know, they've spent so much time talking about Carmelo, about his rights, about his right to a fair trial, about does he have self-defense, and all these things that go as to him that Bill, and that's what you exactly want to do in punishment. You want to bring it right back to what it's about. You can't forget that there's a victim in here. You can't forget all the lives that were affected by Mr. Anthony's actions, the family, and they're not going to get to have their loved one. And so I think really a way to land it, to land the plane, and to leave it with the jury. So that's the last thing they're going to hear, and then they're going to go discuss with
did the family hate white people? Did they bring
so Bill did exactly what he had to do.
Him
and
up
for the
to
defense,
hate
I mean,
white
it's
people
a
as well?
tough case for them to argue.
Was this a crime of racism as well?
It is. And,
if this was only the black members of the football team that were in the tent at the time, would he have gone in with a knife, sat down, started shooting them, and let it turn into a larger issue?
So we got to give props to them as well of trying just a good,
I'm just
clean
asking
case
questions
as well.
here.
And we'll see kind of what the jury decides in that.
This is a case, as we were talking about. Oh, I'm sorry, Rebecca, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask him if he thought that the fact that Carmelo Anthony was the only one that could really get up there and say, I felt like I was in fear, self-defense, and the fact that he didn't take the stand.
He didn't take the stand. He didn't even try.
Well, the jury's going to be instructed that they can't take into consideration the fact that Mr. Anthony didn't testify, so they can't even consider that. I don't think it necessarily hurt the defense.
Don't think
well,
thoughts.
He still got the charge in. He still got sudden passion in the charge. And that would be the only thing that Mr. Anthony could have maybe added to or given more specifics of why he felt that way. But I think the evidence has been presented that at least give them an argument to make an argument to the jury on certain factors or things that they think would rise to the level of sudden passion.
We were talking just a few moments ago about how fast this case moved along and how quickly the jury was able to go through that guilt and innocence phase of this.
What we're getting here.
Just for anyone who's keeping track, Jobin Puneker tells us that at 4:37, which is 5 minutes ago now, the jury officially began deliberating, and so the clock has started on that. And I'm probably putting the cart way out in front of the horse here in asking this. But Counselor Harris, what is the defense thinking potentially about appeal at this point, and how does
the defense
that
trying
work?
to advocate and trying to get as much time?
Well, they will appeal, I would assume. So they have 30 days to file an appeal, and so usually what will happen is probably before they leave the courthouse today, the judge will have them put in their notice for appeal. Even if Mr. Howard and Mr. Shook don't represent him on appeal, he's at least put his notice to the court, which preserves his right to get an appeal. And whether they have to appoint an appellate attorney to represent him or he hires his own appellate attorney, but it preserves his right until whoever is going to handle it can follow the necessary paperwork with the Court of Appeals.
And Keith, talk to us about an appeal bond, how that would work, and when that would come into play.
That's a great question. No. So he could be entitled, well, the court could consider giving him an appeal bond if the jury sentences him to 10 years or less in prison, to where if the court could set a bond where he could post a bond and he could be out, on release on bond while his case is going through the appeals process. If the jury sentences him to over 10 years in prison, then he will not be able to have an appeal bond set.
Do you think that part of this appeal is going to be that the three remaining African-American jurors were not selected and they were struck by the judge and the prosecution, and then they had the protest from the defense, but were still not allowed on the panel?
Well, I definitely think that could be something that gets mentioned in the appeal. From the appellate attorney's standpoint, they're probably going to review the record. Defense, that's why they make the objections. That's why they're very very clear so that they can preserve error for appeal. If they would have never objected to those strikes, then he couldn't have gone on appeal and said, hey, the court erred in going with the state on these strikes for whatever reason based on race and everything like that. So they preserved the error so that the appellate attorney could raise that.
Okay, so for anyone that's new, we've been talking about this. The final 3 black jurors or potential jurors were struck and kicked off because they were biased, and it was coming out that they were going to go in his favor, in Carmelo's favor. So now the defense will have the option to appeal because the black jurors were struck from it. Whereas if that hadn't happened, they would not have the right to an appeal at this point. So that's interesting. And that was another one of those dynamics that was in play too. Apparently there were no black jurors at all because allegedly they couldn't find any that would be unbiased.
If they want to.
Jason.
All right, Rebecca Lopez, Tanya Iser, and attorney Keith Harris, thank you so much, all of you, for the expertise, for your coverage. I know that it is a difficult situation out there. There's a lot going on, a lot of things to keep tabs on. It is a really hot afternoon. We see the people who have gathered there at the courthouse are all taking refuge under trees. And so our thanks for all of the coverage this afternoon. And of course, we'll see you all back here on the 5 o'clock news and of course on WFAA Plus as well. Again, the jury in the Carmelo Anthony case has now been deliberating for the past 8 minutes or so, and they're in the punishment phase here. We could see anything, as we understand it at this point, between 2 and 20 years or 5 and 99 years. We will, of course, be staying on top of this all the way to the very end. Let's get a quick look at your traffic before we go to break here this afternoon, something we usually do at this.
Okay, so I'm trying to, there was something that I brought up here. This was, I forget the time frame that this was. I don't know if allegations were made against the family of how they were handling money. So this was a year ago. And this is when they were addressing some of this at the time.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Hayes. I am the mother of Carmelo Anthony. 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas, searching.
You can't even say the name of the place where you live. Why does she look like she's 25?
For a better life. Like so many other families, we wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband worked hard every single day to provide for us, to make sure we're the best to make sure we're in the best financial position possible.
Did she say their son worked hard to support them? What?
As they stay, I am the mother of Carmelo Anthony. 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas, searching for a better life. Like so many other families, we wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband worked hard every single day to provide for us, to make sure we're the best we're in the best financial position possible. As a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way.
You turn your kid's a murderer.
In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Carmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about.
That's so crazy that these people can turn this around and turn themselves into victims. We have done nothing. Aside from murdering an innocent white boy, we have done literally nothing to deserve everything that we're getting. The fuck kind of statement is that?
The lies and false accusations that have been said about us.
Such as, I am retarded and my son is a murderer. This is all false and wrong. Aside from the fact that I cannot read from a piece of paper, also my son killed someone.
Especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies
sucks,
and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms.
Good, you're a scumbag murdering family.
My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family.
Well, that's all right. You bought yourself a big new house.
His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats.
All from killing someone.
My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom.
You know what I'm saying, Negro?
Of what may happen to her. And let me be clear. The claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false.
It's not. They bought a new home.
We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser.
Aside from the $900,000 home and new car that we purchased, we have not received $1. But it's just fucking one search for 2 seconds, which I already showed all of you earlier. It's right here. That they bought a $900,000 home. Or they try to claim, despite the lack of proof, multiple outlets reported that they bought. Well, all you have to do is fucking drive down the neighborhood and see them standing on the front yard. I mean, you can prove it pretty easily, can't you?
And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin
Let me wipe your tears, child. Child, let me help you. Look at my ridiculous bow tie.
Receive those funds once a request is made.
We're going to get that money.
I don't know why we're being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to.
Including murderers.
He's been raised in a 2-parent home with structure, stability, love.
Stability? Which is completely a word. He was stability, we had stability, and he was stabilized.
First in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the laws of this state. But those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us.
Including murderers.
To be clear,
like my son.
When I speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day, there's an active investigation.
It was raining, y'all.
Everyone involved wants
the worst part of the day. Look what it did to my wig.
We believe in legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you.
I'm sorry, man.
To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process.
You know what I'm saying? I had to write all this down. Now we're getting the fucking weather again. Okay, so we're still waiting on an update. So that was her talking at the time because the family was allegedly being doxxed online and their address was being exposed. The family members were all being exposed. And you know what? Good. You're a trash family and your son is a murderer. I have no tears to shed for a trash family. All right, we are still currently waiting. It is hot in Texas for anyone that was unsure. 95, 97s, 91, 92. It's hot, Texas. So Sarah Fields had posted, I don't know that that's an update on where we're at, though. Sarah has put up, because she is there. I just saw something for her, and then it's not showing. So verdict is guilty. We already know that. I'm still inside. This was 4 minutes ago. I am still inside the courthouse. We are currently waiting on the jury to finish deliberating on sentencing. after sentencing will be the victim impact statements. I will update everyone when I leave for the day. I just wanted everyone to know that we are safe. Okay, so she's just... we know that. Somebody asked, did the judge reject the sudden passion defense? I'm hoping he does. One person said yes, and then somebody else said no, and I don't even know if they're reliable people, or that they're even there to be making that statement. I'm hoping he throws out that passion defense. I want the maximum time considered. Even if you don't hit 99 and you're doing like 60 or 70, just get up there. Get into the double digits and keep going. So we're back to aerial shots. There's no sound. We are still waiting. And if Sarah puts up something else new, because again, she's there for anyone that's familiar with her. One woman puts up, my daughter shoved my son. He didn't stab her in the heart for self-defense. Hope this helps. Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's anytime you have to match a return of violence in a reciprocal manner. So a shove begets another shove. If I'm a gun owner, I have the legal right to carry. I do own firearms. But if I'm walking down the street and someone shoves me in the back, I don't get to pull the weapon and go, oh my God, physical violence, and then shoot the guy dead. It has to meet the criteria for an escalation of violence. So a push by the Metcalf brothers and whoever was there against Anthony doesn't mean that it turns into pull knife out, start stabbing. It's another push back. And the knife never should have been pulled until you are facing a situation where not only are you outnumbered, but also maybe your head's getting slammed on the ground, or maybe you're facing an escalation which is now going to be a serious detriment to your physical well-being. That you have the potential now that you could end up with a serious wound. If it escalates to there, then you can talk about the self-defense. But a shove doesn't equal knife stab. Yeah, Juneteenth is going to get hit so hard this time, knowing that Carmelo Anthony will spend the rest of his miserable life in prison. Juneteenth is so fucking stupid. Once again, the left making up another day to do the woe is me, we're victims, or give us money, or give us a fucking parade. The only one that is the Emancipation Proclamation, that's it. And Juneteenth was how long it took the rioters to reach the southern states and pass the message along. That's it. It was already a thing. It doesn't matter how long it took him to get the fucking message there. It was already a thing. We don't need another day about the day. So fucking retarded. Yeah, so and Matt Walsh and a couple others are bringing up good points too. Let's say they haven't pulled the money from the GoFundMe, which I don't believe. But let's say that's still... they made claims that the owner of GoFundMe is saying the funds are still in there. They haven't pulled them. I don't necessarily believe that. But let's say for a minute that that's true. Now that he's been found guilty, all of that should immediately be returned to everyone that donated. That account should be emptied. They should be denied $1 from it. And it should all be returned to everyone. Because that's their normal policy, whether it's GoFundMe or Give, Send, Go. If you're convicted of murder, you're a convicted pedophile, whatever it is. When the situation comes out where you get a resolution and it is proven you've done the thing that you do, you're no longer entitled to that money. We still have no audio here. We're still waiting for the court to come, for the jury to come with a time frame from between 5 and 99 years. So a number of black nationalists have been showing up. This is reporter Andy No. He's done a lot of work exposing Antifa. Here's some of the.
He's found guilty. He was found guilty.
This is pathetic. I'm so sad that murderer was found guilty of murder. This is a sad day for us, child.
WFAA News at 5 with breaking news in the track meet stabbing truck.
All right, I think they accidentally played some of their old stuff.
For when the jury first got to hear about the actual sentencing charges, that's when they were actually the most talkative. But before that, they were very quiet. There was a time during closing when Bill Werskey's talking about life sentences have already been handed out in this case. Megan Metcalf has a life sentence. Jeff Metcalf has a life sentence. And Hunter Metcalf already has a life sentence, talking about the loss of Austin Metcalf. And that's when we see Megan Metcalf really having a moment there. It's very difficult.
What do you make of that when it comes to the jury going to have to deliberate this and decide his punishment?
Well, I think that they take what they hear, and I think for what Jobin said and Werskey's final argument to them, I mean, I think it's relatively like recent to when they go back and deliberate. So I think it's going to really have some people thinking about things. And yes, you have to determine how you want to punish this defendant.
That's
what Werskey
what
was doing is saying you can't forget about this family that's been affected by these actions.
Chris, back to you.
All right, I want to just follow up on some of the things you said, you know, in terms of how this played out with the jury being able to consider manslaughter and murder. Was this something that was expected and quite so soon?
I'm gonna get a water. I'm gonna keep letting this play. I'll be right back.
Oh, he asked if manslaughter and murder were something that was being expected that this jury was going to deliberate.
Well, I would have been surprised if they had not included manslaughter. I would expect in a case that it would have been included. But you, Rebecca, you and I were talking about it earlier. Keith and I were talking about when this verdict came back so quickly, you just knew that manslaughter was taken off the table, that they were going with murder, that the verdict was going to be murder. I think now the biggest question is how long will it take them to deliberate on punishment, and how much of a factor will his age, his youth, and how much will they take into account that body cam that shows his remorse in all this. I think, you know, a lot of that remains to be seen as to how they will view that.
Yeah, Chris, very decisive on this jury. They made their decision very quickly.
And I'm just wondering, from your expertise, from Jobin being in that courtroom at the time, you know, will they look at the same evidence that they used to reach a verdict of guilty? Can they look at that with different eyes or with a different perspective when it comes to actually deciding how long he should be in prison?
Keith, they're asking if they'll use the same evidentiary information that they had to convict Carmelo Anthony into their decision on his sentence.
I think so. I mean, I definitely think that that's something that they're going to do. And what you kind of have to realize when they're listening to that evidence and guilt innocence at the beginning, they're not talking to each other about, hey, what are your thoughts and what are your thoughts? Because they can't deliberate until all the evidence has been submitted and they can deliberate. And so now that evidence might look differently because now you've got 12 other people, or if you're one, you've got 11 other people that are in agreement with you. And so now you might look at that saying, hey, we all have agreed that this is murder. And now what do we do with what we've seen? And so I definitely think that they're going to look at it again. How they weigh that out, you know, people can look at it differently. Some can find some empathy in some reforms or some sympathy or something like that. Some could find some aggravating things in some of the original conduct. So it's just going to depend on what they discuss and how they deal with it individually as well.
And we've all seen cases where the mere fact that they find somebody guilty of murder doesn't mean that the sentence is going to be life. I mean, we have seen cases, we've all covered them, where, you know, we think, oh, wow, they found them guilty of murder, they're going to give them this lengthy sentence. And sometimes they come back and the jury does show mercy, you know. His mother getting on the stand and asking for mercy. It remains to be seen how much impact that will have on this jury.
And both sides in their closings today said, we want you to deliver something that is fair and meaningful. And maybe you can just, I mean, fair and meaningful is a very, very broad range.
Well, we talked about that earlier, and I think that that's one thing that we were looking to see what Bill would say in punishment. Would he ask for a number?
Sorry, just checking on.
Or a sentence, and he didn't, because they're leaving it to the jury to decide. I think the one thing that Bill did do is said, hey, don't just
again,
forget
and I
about
said
this
this
life
earlier,
sentence,
my
because
hope
there's
is
this family that has gotten life sentences. So yeah, y'all are going to decide, but I want you to still consider the full range without telling them, oh, give him a certain time period, because you don't want to lose credibility with the jury if they've convicted him and they're somewhere at a way different number than what you would give to them.
I don't know if they're going to give him the
judge has said
maximum.
that this
I don't
jury
know that
can
they're going to do the
deliberate
99.
as long as they need.
That's what I
he
want
has
to
said
see.
that we could be here until 10 o'clock, however long it takes them today to reach this verdict. If they do not, then they would be sequestered.
All right, great context and insight. I know you guys are going to be right outside the courthouse there as we wait to hear from the jury again. I want to get now to Cole Sullivan. He's been getting a sense of how the crowd is reacting to this verdict. Cole, what are you hearing right now?
Chris, hearing Jobin describe the tension inside that courtroom, it is equally or was equally tense outside the courtroom. And if it was quiet inside that courtroom waiting for that verdict, it was loud out here. The crowd has shrunk considerably since the height of it when that verdict was read. We'll take you up above from our helicopter now so you can kind of see that crowd. And about a dozen people out here, a lot of media, but a busy parking lot with a lot of cars out here. At its height, we probably had 150, maybe as many as 200 people out here. And as I said, it was loud. Here's some video from earlier. You could see the crowd. You could see people yelling and shouting. I did not see any physical contact at any point in this. No one put their hands on each other, but there were definitely some forceful disagreements. All of it happening under the watchful eyes of Collin County Sheriff's deputies. Interestingly, there were a lot of influencers, a lot of streamers, people with their phones out recording and broadcasting what was going on out into the world. Other folks were just here to watch. Some people brought their kids here to witness what they called a historic moment. And one woman who did that said she didn't like how it went.
It made me sick to my stomach. I'm sick. I'm sick. I just feel like there was so much that wasn't taken into consideration. It was so fast. I'm not even sure about a proper jury of his peers. It just felt rushed to get an answer quickly, and I feel like there should have been a lot more time and consideration taken into things.
How many different ways of a shitbag murderer he
security.
is?
There's been a lot of
I mean,
it out here.
the supporters
today
don't even have a legitimate argument.
With deputies standing guard in front of the stairs to this courthouse.
I just don't like that it was so quick.
There are still people out here with people waiting in their cars. It's very,
almost
very
nothing
hot
to argue.
outside, but you can tell that people are still here. The parking lot is full.
He didn't get up and stand in defense of himself. He didn't say, I feared for my life, and that's why I did what I did.
But for as many people we've seen who have been in
he knows he's a shitbag. His family knows he's a shitbag. Everybody else there knows
as well.
Now
all waiting to see
what extra information do you have to come up with to figure it out.
Very much so, with the jury having to consider an extremely wide range of years. Cole, thank you very much. Just want to let you know, as soon as the jury made its decision, our team went live on air as well as our streaming app, WFAA+. We saw emotions running high outside the Collin County Courthouse. You can watch the moment that verdict came down on our free streaming app, downloaded to your TV right now. Now to some breaking news overseas. The U.S. has launched new airstrikes on Iran in response to the Iranians shooting down an Apache helicopter over the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump authorized the missile strikes, claiming Iran broke the ceasefire both sides had agreed to, and, quote, the United States must, of necessity, respond to this attack. The Apache is a small attack helicopter that doesn't have ejection seats. It went down Monday night and sparked a rescue operation by an American drone boat, something the U.S. military had never done before. President Trump says both pilots are safe and uninjured, but this raises real questions over where talks to end the war could go from here. Coming up next, the Texas Attorney General just launched an investigation into how FIFA is selling World Cup tickets after some fans complained about high prices and not getting the seats they paid for. Hood County commissioners approved plans for a new data center project, but residents say they still don't know.
Yeah, I saw somebody on. We're waiting for the jury to come out with a decision. But as far as the FIFA thing goes, I saw a woman on X, and she was complaining that she bought tickets. I think it was for FIFA for the championships, and then the seats she was supposed to get she didn't get, and she was getting something else. So she wanted to. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the whole thing. She was looking for one. She was looking for one section to sit, and then she ended up making that purchase. But then something came up for a cheaper price, or she wanted to change how she was doing everything. So she wanted to move into. I'm going to make sure they're not saying anything. So she wanted to move to that and make changes to it. So they said that she would have to purchase that other program, the other seating and the other travel thing, and then she would get refunded for the primary thing that she got. And then it ended up not happening. So she ended up spending on her credit card like $9,000 because she had not only the charge of the original purchase, but the charge of the change that she wanted to do as well. It was something kooky like that, and it was just crazy. And that was FIFA 2 with the tickets thing. And as far as Trump talking about, every time we end up taking a loss and a helicopter or a drone or something gets shut down, the response is always the same. It's, well, now we have to respond with force of our own because of this action. Well, that action's happened like 5 times already. How much more force are we going to use as opposed to what's already being used? Like, what the fucking do it and end it or not. They're so ridiculous. Oh, they shot one of our helicopters. Oh, you must really want problems now. We coming for you. Weren't we coming for you about 5 planes ago that got shot down or crashed? Oh, we're definitely coming with the thunder now. Oh, yeah, you. What about the last 3 times? So, here's another dumb bitch outside of here. These people, and that one single person exists to defend Carmelo Anthony is amazing to me.
Cast it out. Come on, man. Cast it. Give me a hug because all that pain. Because racism holds a heavyweight. Heavy. No, I'm not done. I'm not done. Because ain't nobody gonna stop me.
I'm not done. I ain't done.
Because if he falls.
How is it that a black person can't murder a white person and walk free? I ain't done. This is racism. These people are fucking retarded.
If he falls even deeper into hell, because y'all want to keep sacrificing that baby, I promise you, I'm gonna be all. And I'm gonna make y'all respect, and I'm gonna make you clean, you know. You better cast your weight. Cast it. Because baby wanna cast it, but she don't know what I'm talking about. Cast your shit. Gotta cast it out.
Why is it that we black people can't just murder whoever we want without repercussions? This because we in white racist America. Fucking idiots. All right, we still don't have anything. Let's take a look at, do we have anything new? Why didn't Carmelo Anthony take the stand and talk about redlining? Right? There's something more for black people to fucking whine about. If you're 6 foot, bring back public executions. Yeah, I agree. No, Andrew Wilson. No justice, no peace. That's right. Why don't we chant that for a change? No justice, no peace. Yeah, literally. This is 0 Hour. 0 Hour's having some problems of his own here. He changed his name. He got rid of the 0 Hour thing, and he went to Chimp. And I was watching the war, one of the podcasts today. I can't think of the name now. The one that Kim Coulter is on as well. Tariq from the Proud Boys is on there as well. I think he's a primary host. They were allegedly exposing Chimp or 0 Hour for that he has been taking advantage of women and financially, allegedly, women and service members, or women that are also service members or retired service members. And he's been, getting money from them so he can buy his own setup and do his own studio and all this stuff. And allegedly he got $9,000 from one of these women so that he could get his own equipment and all of this shit. And apparently he's just another kind of fake as well. I don't know enough about it, so I say alleged, even though I think Tariq says that they have reliable information. They have text messages and all that as well. We got black people angry.
I'm praying to God that Carmelo Anthony gets found innocent, because a lot of these white folks need to understand you cannot go around putting your hands on people and expecting nothing to happen. You cannot go around talking shit to people and expecting nothing to happen. That's your white privilege. You've been around the white folks too long. You think nobody gonna put hands on you or do nothing to you.
I don't know if that's satire or he's being serious. If it's satire, it was gay. If it was real, it was also gay. These fucking wiggers that try to be thug gangsters, a bunch of faggots. Fucking grow up. You're a grown man. Pull your pants up, get a job. Yeah, this is a good point by Gina. Carmelo Anthony's mom still gets to visit her son in prison, even if he gets the 99 years. Awesome Metcalf's parents only get to visit their son's grave. In the end, there'll be no justice for Austin or his grieving family. Right. The worst it's going to be is this asshole goes to jail. They're such a trash family. They're probably already used to visiting people in jail and dealing with the whole prison situation. I'm sure this is just another day that ends in Y for them. I listened to the mom when I played her earlier speaking. I mean, just absolute uneducated moron. Bad sign. Big Mac now listed as market price. Yeah, that's where it's getting. We're still waiting. We're still waiting to get information on the time frame. And again, I don't. We've got. I don't know where we're still at on X. We had 178 people at one point. I don't know that we still do. I don't know that that's live viewers. Live with 178. I don't know, maybe. But I mean, I'm willing to stick with it. It's just that they don't have a time frame in order to come with a final. He's already been found guilty. They don't have a time frame in order to come to after the guilty verdict for the time frame to choose between the 5 to 99 years. There are rumors that the judge has shut down the passion plea, which could have changed the whole consideration and scenario from 2 to 20 years. But I haven't been able to confirm that based on the information that was out there. It was a couple random people that came in and said, one said, yes, it has been changed. Another one said, no, it hasn't. It's still on the table. It's hard to know. Here was another jackass that came out earlier today, also talking about he's not a lawyer. He's an advocate I don't even know that he's working with the family. I think he just showed up to get his fucking 15 minutes, 15 seconds of fame or whatever it is. Here's some of this idiot's thoughts.
It showed very clearly that a black boy was allowed, not one black soul on a jury. And
this is going to be their argument moving forward, that he would have been found innocent if they could have a couple of black people on the jury. And it's not possible because he's innocent. It's because all of those people were saying that they were going to be biased and they were going to support Anthony. And in the reverse situation of that, this is what happened with Derek Chauvin, the police officer that killed Floyd. We know it was fentanyl that did it, not the officer. No one dies from somebody kneeling on your shoulder. That's not a thing. It's like kicking me in the shin and saying, "Well, I be careful that people die from that." No, they don't. He died of a fentanyl overdose. He swallowed all the drugs that he had when he was being arrested, so he didn't get caught and given extra time. And they had also shown proof from a previous situation where he was in a van or an SUV. He was pulled over. A lot the people. I don't believe he was driving. I believe he was a passenger. They were pulled over. Once again, he swallowed all the drugs that he had on him. So when there was a search of the car, he wouldn't be found with drugs and catch extra charges. But in that particular situation, they did the exact opposite of this. They didn't properly filter jurors. And Black Lives Matter activists were on the jury. And that's one of the reasons Derek Chauvin was found guilty. One, the jurors were being threatened. Their names and identities were being doxxed. And then they were fearing for their lives if they didn't make, quote unquote, the right decision. And aside from the jurors that were afraid for their life, the other side of that was actually Black Lives Matter activists that were jurors. This was proven at the time. One of them was found, and then others identified him at Black Lives Matter protests, showed him in 4K there at the time, participating in the riots and protests and etc. That guy was a juror, and he still wasn't removed, even though they showed the information and they proved it. So Derek Chauvin went to jail with an improper jury that was going to. He never had a chance. Any of these people complaining about that? How bad that looked for the black community? No, of course not. That was a win for them, and they rolled with it. It was great news for them. Now, in the flip of this, you have the court and the prosecutors actually taking action against people who are just pretty much coming right out and saying, we are going to be biased. We are going to vote in support of Anthony. And then they're being rightfully removed. If you cannot be unbiased, you should not be on that jury. Now, human beings aren't perfect. We all have our personal feelings, even if we, to the best of our ability, we're going to be on a jury and we try to be unbiased, but you still have your personal feelings about something someone has done or a situation they've been in. But these people are actively saying, yeah, get us in there and we'll rescue his ass and we'll get him out. That's what was happening.
All white jury convicted him.
It was not an all-white jury. There were other minorities there, so I'm assuming Latino, potentially Asian, potentially they were Indian. It was not an all-white jury. This is a fake narrative that they're creating.
In 2 to 3 hours. We know that they did not prove their case.
Of course they proved their case.
They are
the case
currently
can prove itself.
sentencing Carmelo Anthony. But we know that the Next Generation Action Network put the first $10,000 towards an appellate attorney. And we will fight Collin County like hell. I respected this process.
No, you didn't.
I allowed and called for peace in this process.
It didn't go the way you wanted. That's why you don't like it anymore.
But Black America should be very upset about what went on today. Now, before all of the internet lawyers and before all of the interpretation of the situation, I'm only an advocacy leader. I'm not an attorney. I can only help families be able to navigate these processes.
And I'll do it
when they find
for
themselves
money.
In this type of situation. I can only allow lawyers to be what they are, lawyers. I can't instruct them. I can't stop them from doing anything. I have to respect the process just like anybody else. But what we saw today was flawed, unjust, and I ask that the community continue to pray for the Anthony family. I do not speak for them, but I know that the Next Generation Action Network will be here as support. My heart hurts right now because an ignorance of the law was done here today. Clear. We posted the jury instructions. And right now, what we are seeing is a travesty. It lets us that black lives do not matter in the criminal justice system. It lets us know that we are not going to be afforded the same laws as anybody else. And I give a damn about nobody that feels like I'm playing the race card here.
You are playing the race card.
For years, our people have been at the
That's why you have to say it. You're a grifting loser piece of shit.
At the liberty of these laws. I'm speaking facts because that
if
blood
the glove
of slavery
doesn't
is in
fit,
my blood,
you must acquit.
And it's not for you to look at me and say, I'm playing the race card. I'm just a black man living in America. The fact supports that. You say I'm upset? Hell yeah, I'm upset.
Why can a murderer in this country get away with it?
Fight like hell to make sure that Collin County know that Carmelo Anthony is not going to go away.
Oh, he's going away.
I want to thank all of the people who traveled across this country.
And I'm hoping Bubba's there waiting for him.
To all of the media's, community supporters, and
to
people
pound his shit in,
who have taken Carmelo Anthony as their own baby.
Their own murdering trash baby.
And we got
take that murdering trash into your arms and hold him close.
Right, Connell.
And put the knife over there so you don't get stabby too.
Speaking for the Anthony family, Connell.
Fucking grifter, hack, loser, pieces of shit. So, I don't know if we're going to get an answer. It's possible that a couple of jurors are a little split at this point. Carmelo Anthony has been taken straight to jail. His bond has been revoked. He's not walking out of that building other than to go to the stay in the jail or be moved to the prison. Gag order is in place until the jury decides the sentence, which will happen as quickly as today, but could be tomorrow. So I honestly don't know how long to stay live for this. If my luck holds out like it normally does, I will say, okay, guys, we're going to end the stream and come back later when we have more information. And as soon as I do, they're going to be like, oh, we're going live now because we got an update. And I'm like, fuck. By the way, while we're going through things here, if you guys like the show, you've appreciated these updates, and the time we've spent talking about this has been an hour and 48 minutes. Please consider donating to the show or supporting the show. Anything is appreciated. So if you like and subscribe, that really helps. It helps with the algorithm. It helps me grow. I've been working on this show and growing it over the course of a couple of years, and I'm finally starting to get a little bit of traction with followers and people joining on multiple platforms. We're on X, we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on Kick. And if you can like and subscribe, I really appreciate that. Also, if you wanted to buy me a coffee, a way to financially support the show, all of that information you can see here. So you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Relief Valve Podcast, or you can scan that handy QR code, and that'll take you right there as well. And anything that I get at all, I'm very appreciative of. I'm not one of those grifter shitbags like the Quartering and others who, get donations from people and then brag about their wealth or brag about what they're doing and how their life and financial situation is better than yours. But they're doing it off the backs of the regular folk that are watching their slop and are donating to it. I actually appreciate what everyone does. And if you don't financially donate, okay, no problem. I appreciate the likes and the subscribes and everything as well. And thank you to all the new people that I've been getting as well. We've been going up in on X, Rumble, and YouTube, and I'm hoping to make some headway on Kick as well. We're relatively new to Kick, and I hope to get more new people there as well. And I don't bash everybody over the head with begging and grifting and asking for likes and all of this shit. I talk about it, then I'm done, and we all move on with our fucking lives. Because I hate it when it's brought up to you for the whole goddamn show and they never shut up. Quartering's notorious for that. 5 times a show, you got to hear about his fucking coffee company, or you got to hear about he really needs your help for some bullshit. Okay. Kiwi Farms is having a watch party for Carmelo Anthony verdict. Come watch Carmelo Anthony verdict with a bunch of autistics. It's happening. 15 minutes. Get in here. So this was Asman reacting to it.
It says here, Lori is telling us, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder. That is the verdict from the jurors, according to Lori Brown, who is in the courtroom.
Rip Bozo. That first guilty of murder. We are finding that out.
That's right. That's right. Oh, boy.
With the brevity of this deliberation,
damn.
I don't think that's a surprise to
you are
people.
Done.
Yeah, I went on and said rest in piss.
So, I mean, for his whole life.
That,
now we got to talk about
the left
capital punishment.
They said about Charlie Kirk.
They
rest in piss.
believe
we got the same answer for that
use
fucking
of deadly force.
Oh my God!
In response to the
today is a
excessive.
day.
And
today is a day. We're putting this rat in jail. Thank God.
Surprise. Based off
fucking
of the
good. I knew this shit was going to happen.
So I think
it was obvious.
You know that was their verdict.
Thank God.
Now we'll see. It says here, Lori.
So look at this. We got Eric Doherty saying here, wow, a black man just told off the Carmelo Anthony supporters, telling them stop chimping out, prompting rage. You niggas being niggas, like the FI said. The people you supposed to be arguing with laughing at y'all. Massive infighting.
That's not necessary. Listen, we understand the N-word very well. We use it, we cover it, we understand.
Niggas being niggas.
All I'm saying
like
to
the
you,
fuck I said.
it is time to just disperse.
See how I got a freedom of speech? You can't control it.
And you so why are we fighting each other? I'm on your side. I want Carmelo free, not locked up. So why am I sitting here fighting you? Why is another black man arguing with a black woman? Why are you out here calling people niggas and degrading each other? Like they want us to. It's like some of us out here more so not to
Let me tell you why.
That's the best time for you to go
something. Clout-chasing, trolling motherfuckers out here. That's why.
Y'all, they laughing at y'all. The enemies who y'all need to be arguing with, they right there. They watching y'all, they recording y'all, they laughing at y'all.
I'm not, but
fuck them. They know this is not fuck them. They right there laughing at y'all. I got my bottle. They y'all arguing with y'all. The enemies right there. Look, he's smiling. Looking at y'all laughing, fuck him. Look at him.
Exactly. Why y'all getting consumed by me? You shouldn't be worried about me. You ain't gotta worry about me. Ignore me. Focus on justice. Don't worry about me, baby. Don't worry about me. I ain't gonna shut up for shit, little ass girl. You got to talking to me now.
I ain't gonna shut up for shit, little ass hoe. I think he called her a hoe. Little ass hoe. Imagine being there and you are there to attempt to make a point and attempt to have your voice heard, and that's the only way that you can act. Like some of them, at least in that short part, are remaining calm, regardless of whatever their opinion is. They're remaining calm. Maybe they're trying to have a conversation about it. Okay. I think it's ridiculous that you're supporting a murderer, but if you can be calm and have a discussion from your point of where your thought process is about all this. I mean, we could take you more seriously, but to just be chimping out, sorry. You know, you see stuff like this, and then you look at a situation like Chud the Builder, and you go, yeah, free Chud the Builder. You know, you don't want to agree with any of this stuff, but when it comes to shit like this, and you're out there supporting a cold-blooded killer that went out of his way to go find trouble, and you're upset that he's being found responsible for his actions, I mean, it's absolute lunacy. By the way, over 200 people have watched my video on X. Thank you so much for everybody that has checked it out and has stayed with us and is enjoying it. I really appreciate it. If you like the show and you like the information you've gotten here, please consider joining up, either following me here on X, on YouTube, on Rumble, on Kick as well. I appreciate all the followers, new support, and new followers. Thank you very much. Look at this fucking bitch. Holy shit. This is one of the ones that's on Carmelo Anthony's side. And I can't tell if I'm aroused or not. I'll tell you what. You remember that? What movie was it? The Dictator, right? You remember the woman with huge tits, and then she took one and she could like smash rock with it? This is what that looks like. She can do some damage with those things. You could bury yourself in there, and it might take you the day to find your way back out. I don't know. Could be a good way to die. But it's too busy that she's supporting Carmelo Anthony. Sorry, we have to move on. As the crowd is failing to behave themselves, Court TV is commentating that the pro-Metcalf people need to leave because it's inciting the agitators. This is always the left's thing. Destiny says the same thing. Anyone that's on the left, they always say the same thing. They go, no. It's not our fault that we're radical, mentally ill, and we're threatening violence, or we are going to take violence out on you. It's your fault because you need to turn the temperature down. Now, Court TV, once again, saying the quiet part out loud. The pro-Metcalf people that are there to support the family of a murdered teenager that didn't deserve it, and Court TV is suggesting that they're the ones that need to leave, not the radical, violent people that are there to support Anthony. The other ones that are there to support the victims, they're the ones that need to leave. This is what the left is. This is what these mentally ill pieces of shit are. Front row seat to justice, a front row seat to bullshit. Fucking shitbags. Look at this faggot. You want news from him? Fuck Court TV. We are still waiting to hear something from the jury. We don't have an answer yet, and we may not necessarily get one today either. There's Chimp saying, "I am 0 hour, laughing my ass off. Shh, I'm enjoying my peace and quiet. Keep it down. Tell no one." I want to know if you're ripping off. I want to know if you're ripping off people and taking their money while you're making a joke out of it. $9,000 allegedly donated to him by a vet, a retired vet. And then after she asked for proof of how he's spending the money, because she did it to support his political endeavors, and she wanted to see receipts or something of product that he's buying in order to work on stuff, he ended up blocking her, allegedly, after getting $9,000 from her. If any of that is true, that's not a good look for Mr. Alleged pro-conservative, pro-freedom. Why did you have to get rid of 0 hour and turn yourself into Chimp? Why did you have to change your whole identity? And after deleting that account and starting another one, how did he so quickly get to 369,000 followers? I mean, it's interesting. Yeah, Dr. Red Pill. Black people will defend black murderers as long as the victim is white. Yeah, Carmelo Anthony deserves the kitchen sink. Yeah, and then some. Newswire is saying U.S. forces begin launching self-defense strikes against Iran. So things are blowing back up in Iran, pun intended. We're still waiting to see if the jury is going to come back with something or not. And some people have pointed out it may not necessarily be today. So who? Yeah, in Enrique Tario. So it was earlier on his show today that he was talking about. I'm bouncing around here, but we're finding things to talk about while we're waiting for more information. He was talking about 0 Hour today, or Chimp as he is now, and he had the text messages from this woman that 0 Hour ended up taking advantage of, again allegedly. I'll say that for now until I have more information. I mean, it looked like it was accurate, and that there's communication back and forth between the two with messages coming from him as well. So there's proof on the other side. But, if that's the case and you're weaseling your way into getting these people to give you money and build up a podcast studio or do your fucking bullshit, and you're taking advantage of these people, and then when they ask for something simple, if someone donated to me and you wanted to see what I'm spending the money on, equipment that I'm doing, I would have no problem at all. It's your money, you're willing to donate. I don't think it's unreasonable that if you have a couple, not demands, but requests for me of something like, oh, well, I'm going to give you $5,000, Matt, but I'd like to see, the new upgrade for the computer or the new microphones, or you're working on building a studio. I'd like to see that to see that my money is going towards the thing that I wanted to do to help and support you. I have no problem with that. If you're on the level and you're doing what you claim that you're doing, it should be no problem at all. And if you want to be able to spend some money on the side and then ask, hey, aside from buying the new equipment, working on the studio, whatever it is I'm doing, are you also comfortable if I use some of what you're donating to go to lunch, to go out to dinner? Are you comfortable if one of it was to use to help me out this week and make a car payment or whatever it is? Just be open and have the discussion with the person. This is one of the things that's really pissed me off with, if this is the case, with 0 Hour and what these people do. Him and the Quartering and Candace Owens and others, they lie to their viewership, they mislead, and then they expect these donations from people. Candace lied and said that her and her husband would not be able to afford the lawsuit against the Macrons when she said Bridget has a penis. And she did that whole series, which she got like 1 million followers from, or however many that she got, plus all of the donations, ad revenue, and everything that she did. And then she'll turn around and say, we don't have the money to fight back. We're going to do what we can, but we just don't have the money to fight back against the Macrons. And meantime, it's been proven that she has like 5 vehicles in her driveway that are each worth, thousands upon thousands of dollars. A gift of a new vehicle that her husband bought for her. Their net value is the thousands, if not millions. But they need to grift off all of you. They need your money in order to take care of their situation. And what it is I don't want to use my money. I want to use yours. That's what all the grift is. The Quartering doing the same thing. Can't shut the fuck up about his fake coffee company that he brews in a fucking bathtub in his basement. Everybody else does drop ship except for me. I also do drop ship now that he's been exposed. But I don't do it. It's specially made. I'm in a lab coat and goggles and I'm doing all the work. I hate these people that take advantage of their followers, their viewers, and the hard-earned money that all of these people make. They decide to support you, to support your show. They give up their hard-earned money for only to find out it's your grift and your bullshit is the thing that they ended up giving money to. And you like this show or not like this show, and then you move on and you go do something else. You follow one of those fucking grifters. It's your choice. I just don't like seeing people taken advantage of, and these people abusing the interaction that you have with your followers and expecting money from them. Look, I'm doing this. I where are the donations? Where are the super chats? Where's this and that? I want the money. I'm doing a good job. Give me money. It's like, no, the person should be doing it voluntarily, and you shouldn't be hounding all of them for it too. Let it happen organically. Either it does happen or it doesn't. Either you get a certain amount that's helpful or you don't, and it is what it is. But these fucking people piss me off, and then they take advantage of the people that are the reason that they exist. I remember more recently with the Simpcast, that fucking Chrissy Mayer, and that whole fiasco about talking about the situation with the quartering and Melanie Mack, and then she says, oh well, I don't. The chat doesn't run my show. I don't answer to them. It's like, yes, you do. You wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for all of these people that are tuning in right now. You would have nothing. You would be somebody talking to a computer screen. That's it. And then to turn around and say, no, I don't answer to them and I don't owe them anything. So you don't owe anything to the people that are watching your show and giving you views and likes. The ones that are donating to you and allowing you to live your lifestyle because you don't have a job. The ones that are your supporters. You don't owe them any. She's not the only one to have said this. There's a lot of other podcasters and creators. They say the same thing. I don't answer to the viewers. I don't, I do this show for myself. I don't do it for you. Okay. Turn donations off and make sure nobody can give any money. Don't accept any money from anyone. Just go on and just yap. And maybe some people watch and maybe they don't. Do that. And they don't because they want the money. They just don't like the other side of it where you actually should have some sort of accountability to your viewers. I'm not talking about giving into something crazy or unreasonable. I'm saying if they're coming into your chat and they're saying something or they're asking a question, be decent enough of a human being to answer the people that give you donations and allow you to sit on your ass at home and do this as a fucking job instead of going and busting your ass in the real world. I'm out of work right now with a back injury that's probably from 30 years of busting my ass in difficult work. This isn't my job. I'm trying to turn this into something. But I actually went out there and did physical labor. These people sit on their ass, chat to everybody, and in some cases look down on them, and then go, you have no right to ask or demand anything of me. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know if we're doing a refresh here or what's going on. We're still waiting. I don't know if they're taking a break. We are still waiting for the jury to come back for the time frame. Yeah, this is a good point, too. His arrogance and entitlement brought him to the tent and gave him the courage to start a fight that took a life. His arrogance and entitlement kept him from shedding a tear or apologizing for the life he took. We're back to the Carmelo Anthony. His arrogance and entitlement kept him from accepting responsibility for his actions, which would have inevitably given him leniency. He probably would have gotten a little bit if he had even shown a fraction of what he should. And it's what the Metcalfs deserve to hear. But his arrogance and entitlement will stop today because prison guards and other inmates, really bad motherfuckers, will put him in check very quickly. I bet he's crying now. It's too late. And he did, in fact, cry in court. They said that. Once a verdict came out, that's the only time he shed tears, and they were for himself. They were not for anybody else. Because he just realized he just threw his entire life away trying to be a wannabe, entitled, tough guy. Yeah, that's a good point. If Kamala had won, she probably would have given him a presidential pardon, and he would have walked after doing about 1 month. Yep, Kim, who's supposed to be taking a break after she had the baby. But she cannot help to keep going after everybody on YouTube. Have credit where it's due. Nothing will stand in the way of destroying the left. Okay. Still waiting for updates. The MBBP, which is some sort of Black Panther group or something, have been around for years, but always dressed like they work in a Long John Silver's kitchen. Yeah, they do, don't they? If you hadn't told me otherwise, I would have thought this was the cooks from a local restaurant. 0 hour. I would like to report the theft of 2 watermelons from Walmart. Yeah, and if that's possible, I think that's a good idea. The Metcalf family can now open a civil suit and take every single penny that scumbag family profited from it. Open and shut case in any fair civil court. I hope they do. The family claims they haven't seen $1 from everything that's at the GoFundMe, while other places are reporting that they did give the money and they bought a brand new house in a gated community that's worth $900,000. So it's like truth somewhere in the middle. I don't know. Alex Rosen. They should have been
They should have both been arrested.
They both should have been dead. The brothers, both brothers. Both of them should have been dead. You ask me?
Who's both? You wanted to arrest the corpse of Metcalf? What do you mean arrest them both? Don't you record me, ho! We one motherfucker. What you talking about, mofo? God. Chimping out. Sorry. If the shoe fits. Happy Juneteenth. There you go. So this has... They are not live anymore. These guys were... I don't know if I was with them. They were repeating everything at the time. So they are showing the football field. So we still don't have a time frame of how long they want him to serve. They're still deliberating. And for all we know, I don't know if we're going to get one today. First trailer for Carmelo Anthony Simulator, the fuck around and find out edition. Just
overnight. And
get out of here.
In Carmelo Anthony Simulator, you can solve problems with a knife, start a GoFundMe, and become a hero overnight. And try to beat the system.
But once you're inside, the real punishment begins.
Oh, damn. They
Carmelo Anthony Simulator, FAFO Edition.
You know what? That's not far from the actual truth that we're at right now. That's the funny part. Dr. Clown, he makes these. He actually does a really good job.
A ceremony commemorating 25 years since September 11th made its final stop in Texas at the Fort Worth Stockyards. The Steel Across America tour features a 16,000-pound steel beam recovered from the original World Trade Center. It offers the public a rare opportunity to see the artifact up close and hear firsthand stories. Organizers say the tour connects those who may not have ties to New York City.
We were traveling the country with this beam to show them, you may be a little bit disconnected from New York. It may be 25 years after the fact.
We're all very happy
to be forgotten, and the sacrifices made that day will never be forgotten.
The tour will make 35 stops across 21 states, and it will finish in New York. More Fox 4 News in a moment.
All right, guys, I don't know if we're going to get... I'll log off and then there'll be an update in like 15 minutes. It's fucking... just my luck. So... all right, if we end up with an update, I will try to come back. In the meantime, I mean, I'm just kind of bullshitting, and we're finding things to read and do here, and we're not going to get anywhere. We're waiting on this final verdict here. So for everyone that has joined in, everyone that's been following and joining us, joining me live here, thank you very much. I've appreciated you tuning in. I've appreciated you supporting the show. If you're willing to continue to do so, please give it a like and consider subscribing on whatever platform that you're on. Again, we're on multiple platforms: X, Rumble, YouTube, Kick. And give us a like, give us a follow. I appreciate all the new support we've gotten, and I hope with that will help move me up in the algorithm and get me seen a little bit more today. We got a lot of people that joined in on doing the live stream on X today. It was more than 178 views. This was... The other count showed like over 200 and something, which is great. I honestly have never had that many before, so that's pretty cool. So the engagement was at 205 at this point, which is really cool. I've had a lot of new people joining in, but it's one of those things where like that's why the engagement is so important when people talk about it, because people will click on and like.
Thank you for joining us at 5:30. Our coverage continues with Steve.
All right, Clarice, thank you very much. Today, a Collin County jury found Anthony guilty of murder for the 2025 track meet stabbing death of Austin Metcalf. That jury now deciding on how much time Anthony will spend in prison. Even before the verdict, we saw some tense moments outside the courthouse between demonstrators. And with all the attention on this case, we saw a large law enforcement presence, too. Our team coverage of the trial begins right now on Fox 4 News at 6. Here for...
So you have a lot of people, they'll getting back to what I was saying, they'll like and follow a page if they like what somebody had to say, but then they'll kind of move on and they'll go back to their regular things and check out other people and other pages and stuff. And, the important part is the engagement then coming back. So you can have these numbers and it can look great. You've got a couple of hundred people, and then how many are watching? Oh, well, you got like 50 viewers or something. So the engagement is very important, and I hope, hey, I'm doing a good enough job that people want to, don't just want to like and subscribe. They want to tune in and enjoy the show too. I kind of did an impromptu one today because all of this was happening with the final situation here in the murder trial. So I wanted to jump on, and I just wanted to cover this and be a part of it. So once again, in finalizing here, thank you to everybody that's joined me, everybody that has been on the live, all of the new support that I've been getting, and hopefully future support from all of you as well. If we end up with a verdict, I will jump back on and we'll talk about what the time frame ended up being that the jury chose. All right, thank you, everyone, and I will talk to you again with the next update, one way or another. Thank you, everyone.